Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we return to the nursery as we jump far ahead in time from our last episode. The last thing we discussed was the Swedish Chef's appearance on Good Morning America from May of 1988. that pivotal moment.
It was bad.
Everyone remembers where they were when the Swedish Chef was on Good Morning America. We'll have a little bit more insight into that this week, actually. I've got another note about that.
Okay.
But
cool.
From everything I have found in looking at Muppet Wiki and trying to download all of it into a single spreadsheet, it looks like the Muppets sort of took the summer off from making on-camera appearances so that Jim could get a lot of shit done. And when I say a lot of shit, it's gonna my segment where I run through what the Muppets were up to is gonna be maybe not the longest it's ever been, but maybe the most things it's ever been. And I will try to get through it as quickly as possible.
They've been long lately.
He's
been a busy
up.
boy.
Yeah. So this week we are jumping all the way to September of 1988 as we find ourselves faced with yet another season of Muppet Babies. It is time for us to dive into a whole new season 5, with 3 episodes called Muppets Not Included, Beauty and the Schnoz, and The Pig Who Would Be Queen. But of course, that's not all, because I'm also delighted to say, honestly, that this week we will be finishing off the last of the Muppet Babies video storybook VHS tapes as we watch Volume 6, which included the stories Gonzo and the Great Race, Baby Fozzie is Afraid of the Dark, and Baby Piggy's Mermaid Tale.
If I had to pick between watching 8 seasons worth of the Muppet Baby video storybooks or regular Muppet Babies, there is no doubt in my mind I would pick the video storybooks. Going back to Muppet Babies this week was fucking torture.
That is an absurd statement.
I like the storybooks better. If the real show was more like the storybooks, it would actually be a good show instead of trash.
I can't side with you there. I despise the storybooks, and I'm glad
the switch from Jim talking to who I can't even remember who Baby Kermit is doing that voice in Muppet Babies. That was such a brutal cold bucket of water. Like, dear God. Yeah. I forgot how annoying this show was and how good Jim is at narrating things.
I will say I like hearing Jim more than I like hearing Frank Welker, especially in that first moment of the first Muppet Babies episode where I was like, what? Who's this guy? But yes, we will get into the details of why Sam is wrong very soon. But now that all the business is out of the way, you know what we're talking about today. It's time to reveal the most exciting part of this Muppet Babies filled episode. And that is that we have a special guest. Today, we are joined by someone who is a musician, performer, podcaster, writer, someone who you may have seen as one half of the nerd folk band The Double Clicks, or performing at Edinburgh Fringe with his show, A Shark Ate My Penis. Or, if you're me and Sam, you are lucky enough that you get to see him in multiple work meetings every single week. It's Laser Weber.
Hello. I'm here. I cannot believe the Muppet Babies slander that's happening here.
Well, that's why you're here.
You like Muppet Babies.
We'll get into it. But
okay.
Really, wow, it's just a lot of anger coming from you guys, and I feel like maybe we should talk about it.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry at Muppet Babies. I just think it shouldn't exist and never should have.
The difference here, Laser, is you for this episode had to watch 3 episodes of Muppet Babies and 1 VHS tape. Yeah. We have watched 63 episodes of Muppet Babies and 18 video storybook readings across 6 VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So our brains have been scarred by the overconsumption of Muppet Babies.
The thing I love, by the way, is coming into a podcast where two grown men who have willingly decided to do this are angry at the people who made the content because it made you love it enough that you decided to make a podcast and now you have to watch these things.
So I still don't think we should have to watch Muppet Babies.
Yes, part of Sam's anger is directed not towards Jim Henson, but me.
I don't think Muppet Babies is a Muppet product. I don't think there's Muppets in it.
It's a Marvel product.
There is a bit of an MCU connection in one of these episodes, I will say.
There's a lot. There's a lot of it. It's very weird. I had forgotten about that was such a big part of this, like all of the collage stuff. And then I looked it up. You I'm sure you've talked about this, that Henson was just kind of like, I don't know, do it. We don't have to ask them or license any of this footage.
Yeah, we talked to somebody who was like involved in that process, I think, right? And they were just like, we talked to somebody who worked on the newer Muppet Babies, and they knew a little bit about that process, and they would just like bring sticky notes back and forth to each other's offices that were like, can we use this clip from Star Wars? And then George Lucas would be like, okay, whatever, who cares? And yeah, nothing was on the up and up
they didn't,
in that regard.
They weren't yet imagining the world of streaming or DVD releases, which is why, Muppet Babies has never been officially released anywhere for us to enjoy on Disney Plus or anything, because the rights issues alone would be hell. And, at this point, Disney probably owns most of the things that they're showing in these, but there's one specific episode this week that really is just someone could say too many clips of other movies.
This was a heavy one. They're not usually like this. I think these episodes were especially video collage.
I wonder if this is a season 5 thing.
That's what I'm curious, because we've seen big swings and big changes from season to season at times, where they just stop doing a thing or start doing a brand new thing with new writers and new teams coming in. Interestingly, they're back to doing songs this time, whereas like almost the entirety of season 4 featured almost no songs. And so,
whereas all the previous seasons had a song every episode.
Right.
And the animation in this season, I think, looks a lot worse than ever before.
Yeah, it's giving budget cuts, because I think that's also like when you put more clips in, then you can just pay whatever.
Or not. Or you just ask George Lucas and he says,
right. You don't have to pay.
I did notice in season 4, there was more animation mistakes. It felt like there was weird glitches, or like a character just frozen in the background. I haven't noticed that yet in season 5, but there are definitely some rough animation.
There's some off-model moments in this one.
Yes. There's like sometimes Piggy's eyes just start drifting further and further apart as she's talking. And I'm like,
they're losing their molecular coherency. They need a new batch. They need to clone a new batch of babies.
They're starting to break down. They got to get their shots every 45 minutes and to keep them from completely dissolving. Before we get too far into actually discussing the things we watched today, Laser, who are you? Do you like Muppets at all? Why did you come here?
I do like Muppets. Yeah, I think I was I'm a VHS generation person. So we had a Mother Goose, Jim Henson's Mother Goose story. Have you done those already?
We have not, but I will be talking about them in my rundown of things they were working on.
Yeah, we had one of those. And then the other thing, which I don't know if you've done already, was the Hey, You're as Funny as Fozzie Bear VHS. Have you done that?
That is one of
that one too, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the handful of 1988 VHS tapes that we have to still watch. So you're solidly from the era that we are currently discussing as far as what you were consuming. It's like this. I mean, both those things are like being worked on or being released in the same era we are discussing today.
Yeah. I mean, Muppets, I think, definitely is like the level of wholesome content that was allowable. Like, we didn't have like cable or anything, so we just had like 3 VHS tapes in the middle of the country in Kentucky, and 99 acres of farmland that I lived on. So we didn't have like a lot of content other than this. But I think I love it. I think it shaped a lot of my sensibilities and stuff. Like, I still think Nickelodeon is too, rough. I'm just like, stop it. Jim Henson would never.
Like too edgy?
Too edgy, yeah.
Oh.
Truly, like I didn't see stuff like that until I was like maybe in my late teens, and before it was like when Muppet Babies, Sesame Street, like straight into VeggieTales. So my brain is like very, very warped as to what children are interested in.
Sliming people is so rude. We can't be sliming.
Yeah, Stick Lead is for adults.
Everyone
exactly.
knows this. Yeah, too rude, too crass. What a gosh, you guys! I don't think that should be allowed.
Hey Arnold should only be on HBO,
and that's what I've been saying. Yeah, but this was very fun. I remember Muppet Babies. I didn't remember it being this collagey, like I was saying. But yeah, big Muppet fan, big Muppet head out here.
I would say, were you enjoying other Muppet things like the Muppet Movie or Great Muppet Caper and things like that?
Yes, Muppet Movie definitely. I don't think I saw a lot of the other ones until I was older, although I think a lot of them hadn't come out yet. I remember I got Muppets Take Manhattan in a box of cereal as a DVD.
Those days.
Wow.
Yeah. And Muppets Take Manhattan is weird. That's a weird movie. I think
that's
a
weird movie. Yeah.
I really hated the wedding scene because there are just too many Muppets, and I think that
wow, this is not the podcast for you to host, Blazer. I'm sorry if this was an audition for you to become a third co-host of this podcast.
No.
I gotta say the words "too many Muppets" might have just disqualified you.
Well, there are like 300 Muppets in that scene, and a lot of
there are a lot of Muppets in that scene.
Is it like scary for you to see that many, or what's going on?
I think maybe
let's unpack this.
Well, you know what it is I don't like the human Muppets, and there's a lot in that of like the people, the like beady-eyed babies that really
babies are the worst.
Sure. Yeah, Nobody likes them. A
Muppet Show also, big Muppet Show person, and also the Muppets Tonight. I loved Muppets Tonight. When I used to babysit people who had the Disney Channel back in the day, we would watch a lot of Muppets Tonight. I love Clifford, and that was the first time I ever saw like Prince. Prince was on an episode, and it was
Prince's episode is fantastic.
It's so good, and I didn't understand anything they were saying because it was like during the artist formerly known as Prince era, which is a really funny thing to like try to explain to children. What an absolutely wild thing that's going on. But yeah. Oh, here we go. You just sent me the Muppet
Is that the
movies.
DVD you had?
Yes, this is the DVD I had.
It came with the free trial of AOL.
So you got internet and Muppets Take Manhattan at the same time.
Girl, I think we're all roughly the same age. I collected AOL CDs, like, the free trial CDs, and I would like put them on the wall of my bedroom in high school. I was very cool.
Yeah, kids can never understand going into Radio Shack and just taking a big
End of
stack
sentence.
Of those AOL.
End of sentence. Kids cannot understand going into Radio Shack.
I think there's still a Radio Shack in the Butte Mall.
That makes a lot of sense. No one has told them yet that what has happened to the rest of the Radio Shacks.
The letter is stuck in Oklahoma somewhere.
They have it's like an antique store, half half Radio Shack.
Like antique technology, or
no, like my dad sent me a picture of like one of those like waiters who like it stands at the front of a restaurant and they can put like a wine bottle on his little tray.
Yeah.
Like there's like old stuff in there, and you can still buy like pieces for your ham radio. I'm pretty sure.
It feels like one of those things where a guy was somehow franchising a Radio Shack, and
I think they just didn't take
the
sign down. Yeah,
that's
right.
His name is actually just Radio Shack. It's just a guy.
Yeah, he changed his name.
I legally changed my name. You can't shut it down. It's my name.
He put an apostrophe S at the end of it. Radio Shacks. Yeah.
The opposite of a Papa John situation.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I remember Radio Shack for like the last 10 years of it. You would go in and they would have everything except the thing you needed. And it was very frustrating.
They had a lot of RC cars, I feel like was their big thing for a while. There's like, do you want this? Yeah. The car flips over and it keeps driving.
I'm kind of just looking for a power cable, actually. Do you have one of those? Or
we have a bigger car that flips over and keeps driving.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to just go on.
Look, it's one of those little yappy dogs that does somersaults. You want one of those?
Busy that day.
Well, it's free with purchase, so you get 8 of them. Please help us. Give us money. We need to survive.
Do you remember when malls, they would be like a little plinth outside of a Radio Shack or like not Sky Mall, whatever it is. But they would have, that would be like, it was like a flat surface with a little like fence around it. And they would just have like those ferret balls and like a bunch of just robots.
Oh, absolutely.
Fighting each other. Like,
you just walk up like it's a little circus for the kids to look at. And you're just like, ooh, look at that weasel ball go.
But now reality is never exciting enough for kids with their phones.
The days of plinths are behind us.
Kids these days don't even know. They don't even know what a plinth is. There used to be magic in this world. You used to be able to go to a toy store in the mall, and there was like toys from like 10 years ago there, and they were so dusty. And it was so fun.
I mean, we kind of got one of those back now, Sam, in Missoula. We have like a vintage toy store kind of place where you can go buy the same toys you would have bought at KB Toys. And now they're like twice the price.
Are you guys watching Reacher?
No. I've heard good things about it, though.
There's an important plot point where he went into a vintage toy store and bought like an old school Roy Rogers like gun, like a whatever BB gun or something. Anyway. So I imagine that's what you're talking about.
Feels like a show my dad would tell me to watch.
My partner likes it a lot because he's very tall and very kind to people.
Your partner, or Reacher,
or Reacher?
Oh no,
both.
My partner's tiny. That Reacher's.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. We are getting to be dad age, so we can start recommending.
Give me 3 months.
Yeah, we can start recommending corny ass shows. It's okay.
Reacher does have like the dialogue. It reads like the novels that I'm sure it's based on, and it's just like, I can't believe it. I have to go, and it's just like, come on, guys. Like we have words. We can do this.
We know how people talk, right? We can write how the people talk, right?
If Sesame Street was still on, they could make teacher, and he could be like walking around teaching people stuff.
Sesame Street is very much still on, Sam. I don't know why you reference it as if it is behind us.
It's gonna be gone soon, isn't it?
No one has said that. They are laying people off, and they don't have a TV deal for next year, which, those two things sound concerning when put together.
They already finished. They already wrapped production, I'm sure, though.
I feel like my mom knows more about Sesame Street than I do. I think we would watch, but she knows all the characters' names from that era, from the late 80s era, and when Mr. Hooper died, and I remember a lot my mom talking about people who had died, so like Jim Henson and Mr. Hooper and like all of these. It's a big moment.
I think there was like a soap opera undercurrent to some of Sesame Street at the time, because people were getting married, they had relationships that went back like 20 years plus.
That's the thing too, is like these are, if this would have been late 80s, these are people who have been on your TV for 20 years at this point, and it's like the same exact humans. So, your mom also probably would have had memories of 20 years prior, knowing what Bob and Luis and all them were up to. So,
your mom would have been really invested on if Bob and Linda were in a relationship or not, which is a big unanswered question in the show.
I mean, it's pretty much answered as like, kinda.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you ever, in your role as a producer of theater experiences, which is, obviously the way everyone words that when they talk about it, feel like you might be the Kermit the Frog in those situations where you're sort of trying to wrangle the chaos that is everyone around you?
Well, I think that's the fear that a lot of producers have, is that you want to be the Kermit the Frog, but are you just the Scooter? Or have you in fact become the Fozzie and like are just creating more chaos? I think that's what I journal about every night. You think about,
am I the Fozzie today?
Today, Elton John was on set and I bothered him a lot. Kermit's got an interesting vibe, and I think we all have a lot to deal with when it comes to Kermit, because like we want to believe that we want to believe our dads, right, are good people. But then also he has like, is he being honest in his relationship with Piggy? Like, is there like something that maybe he should have confronted? Because even
Kermit's
if you
never told the truth in his life.
Yeah,
Kermit's a liar. That's the best way I've ever heard anybody put Kermit, is you want to believe that he's a good person, just like you want to believe it in your dad, but he's just not.
Sorry to our dads if they're listening, but I know for sure mine isn't.
It's a very I mean, but like Scooter genuinely is there to help. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And even though he's been hiding his twin sister from us for a long time, which is pretty messed up, I think that he's there. He wants to help. He does the best he can. Whereas Kermit is like, he acts like he doesn't want to be the center of attention. That's my least favorite thing in a producer is a producer who pretends they don't want to be the center of attention, but really they do want to be at the center of
But
attention.
then it's like, it'd be fun at the end of this episode, I come out and do a tap dance for like 7 minutes. I think everybody would love that. Yeah.
It would be really impressive if I could write it in everything.
Yeah.
I guess if no one else is going to do a tap dance number, I guess I can step in and be a tap dancer for this time.
I would push back that Scooter is there to help. Scooter is skimming off the top. He's a little
yes,
dirtbag.
To be fair, Sam's theory is that Scooter is very conniving and out for himself.
No theory. This is borne out in the Muppet Show. He is like a little weasel, and he's always threatening people with his uncle as like the muscle.
But I do think in his heart, Scooter is there to help, and I think he often is. He
wants to be part of it.
Yeah, he just wants to be part of the show, and
that's true.
He also does get a chance to perform a few times, but he is not inserting himself in things as often as Kermit is.
Yeah, I think at first his characterization is much more of the my uncle's gonna hear about this if you don't let me do it.
One
and
or whatever Scooter
down.
is. Yeah. He shows up being like, "Hey, you got to give me a job because my uncle owns the theater."
He's especially in his current incarnation, he is more earnest for sure.
Yeah, he's got a lot less backbone these days.
Yeah. His uncle passed away. He lost his leverage.
He's like, oh shit, no. He passed away. He didn't leave me anything.
After all of the bridges I burned trying to get to please my uncle.
My bargaining chips died with JP Gross.
Yeah.
He left it all to my sporty sister Skeeter.
Yeah. And she ran off with her millions.
She's on a yacht somewhere. That's a great theory. That's my new headcanon. JP Gross left it all to Skeeter and she just took off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a big family argument about sharing the wealth, and Skeeter was very adamant that, well, his will did say that I got it all, so we have to honor his wishes.
You're a nerd. So
and she started the women's sports network, right? That's the new channel. So that's
She actually is the CEO. Yeah.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Great for her.
And that's cool. Actually,
that's more than Scooter would have done with the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he just built a bigger computer.
It would have all gone up his nose. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't have nostrils, so I don't really know how that works.
True.
But
they could be under there somewhere.
There was a point when he was complimenting Piggy during these episodes and said that her eyes were like 2 computer screens, which I think is incredible, especially in 1988. Just like really convex and shiny and blue and.
Yeah, Scooter has a very modern relationship with computers because there's often times when he'll say stuff like, someday computers will make all of our food and we never have to do anything. Or like, art made on computers is way better. And a lot of it is just like in this day and age is like, you are going to move to San Francisco.
Companies will save a lot of money by just generating art based on the work of others.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, that was the interesting thing is there was a whole episode where he was talking about computer art, but because it's the late 80s, he was talking about like CGI and about how like, look what computers can do. But this was the era where you just had to like type in a formula and it would be like, we made a teapot. You're welcome. But the commentary in that episode seemed to be like
skeptical.
maybe the writers and animators of Muppet Babies were like, I don't know about this computer animation. I don't think it's the future. But a lot of the metaphors and the like criticisms you could easily apply today if this episode was about AI art, where Scooter just got obsessed with like, wow, look how easy it is to be an artist, guys. I just type in teapot and it gives me a teapot.
Yeah, except he was wrong that it was easy. It wasn't easy. And they were wrong to think it was easy, and not so much nowadays, but still.
But it is interesting how those like teams switch over time, where it's like these were like 2D versus 3D, where they like was the battle back then, and now it's 2D and 3D against AI. All it took was to get us a 3D Muppet Babies later. I don't think that one gets as critical of the entertainment industry.
I've only seen the one clip of the new Muppet Babies where Gonzo gets to wear a dress, and it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
I cry.
Yeah, I think
I cry.
I think they tell, from what I've seen, which is just a couple episodes, they tell really good stories. I definitely, they don't, they chose wisely and don't do all the clips from other pieces of media, so they don't have rights issues. But it leads to a little bit of a different feeling show than what we get from Muppet Babies, which does have a lot of clips in it usually. So it doesn't feel like quite the same show, but it feels like a very good modern version of Muppet Babies, like starting from scratch.
Yeah. I think that's like watching Muppet Babies and even these storybooks that we watched, like it is an interesting thing of remembering that wholesome / educational television used to mean a very different thing. And I think they just like didn't have to draw the line so clearly of like, here are the educational points in this episode, which you straight up have to do now. But it was more just like, Muppet Babies, my partner who has an MFA had a lot of commentary when I was watching it today, but he was like, and this is like a continuation of the cultural canon, and you're bringing in like, now people get to see Bob Hope and all of these like things that you wouldn't have seen if you were a kid at this time. And and Cyrano de Bergerac and stuff. And now these days it's more just like, here is the lesson about being yourself. Here's the lesson about these things. It's less of an abstract.
I guess it is kind of like the same thing that The Simpsons does, where you're like, I don't know who that actor is really, but I've heard them mentioned on The Simpsons so many times that I actually
I will remember their names. That way 20 years from now, when somebody says that actor's name, I'll be like, why do I know that?
Okay,
that's me with MST3K. You guys watch that show? They would make so many topical references that I never understood. And then 20 years later, I'm like, oh, that's who Debbie Reynolds is. That's interesting. That character does kind of look like Debbie Reynolds. Like I truly know
The most common Simpsons reference point for me that I bring up sometimes is Krusty the Clown. Whenever he would have like an actor, or like it was usually like a not super relevant star from the past would be on his show, and he would say their name in a way that I was like, that's just like a funny name that the Simpsons writers wanted to use for Krusty the Clown to say. But I don't know that I always realized those were real people until later on in life, when I'm like, oh, okay, that is an actual person that my parents at the time would have absolutely known who he was talking about. I had never heard of this person. But yeah, it is. I do think there are times, and to be fair, in these episodes, they do a pretty good job of showing off and referencing things in a way that I do think is slightly educational. We also have seen episodes where they are like saying or trying to be educational, but they actually go in the opposite direction and teach you incorrect things about certain artists or science or like
amazing.
Yeah, like it'll set it up as if they're going to teach you about the planets or about, different famous artists from the past. And then they just like start talking about this artist and leading you astray and be like, well, obviously they did this because of this and this and this. And I'm like, this is going to warp the idea in a child's head of what this was actually about. And sometimes we have it where they'll do it like 2 sentences apart, where they'll say something that's extremely true about like, oh yeah, this planet has this thing. And the next one, it's like, and aliens live on Jupiter. And they're like, oh, wait, what? Wind that back.
I love in all of these, like the whole thing is couched and these are babies telling these stories, so they can kind of say whatever they want. But that's a wild thing to be to introducing content to children, because it is accurate, right? Kids just kind of say fake and real things in the same sentence, but it is also like a very bizarre thing. I remember I took an IQ test in 4th grade for some reason. And one of the questions was where the sun comes up, if the sun comes up in the east or the west. And I knew that answer from the Muppet movie, because like there's a line
from moving right along.
Have you ever seen the sun come up in the west? And I'm like, I know it's not the west, it must be the east. But like, I think especially when you put things in songs, kids are gonna remember that. I say as a person who used to write songs that kids would like really listen to, and just like any song is a kid's song if they hear it 3 times, and then they're just gonna remember that forever. Which is why there's a reason Sesame Street put out a corrected version of the Why Does the Sun Shine?
Well, and there's like, I think there's a reason Sesame Street re-airs so many of their songs and clips episode after episode, because they want it to be really ingrained in kids' heads of like, hey, don't cross the street before looking both ways, you little jerks.
I want Sesame Street that's actively hostile to children.
I mean, maybe that's the pivot. Maybe they gotta. That's how they save themselves. Is HBO's like, hey, we need you to be a little edgier, keep up with The Last of Us. So, what if you start yelling at the kids?
What if you slime the puppets? Oh God, it would take so long.
Oh no, you can't. You can't. I think they're probably Scotch guarded, but you can't. You can't slime.
There are certain things that happen to some of the puppets where you gotta assume that's just a write-off, where they're just like, oh, yep, that's the puppet we're gonna slime. Like that's the dead one now. And somewhere in a drawer is just a gross, crusty puppet.
Bunch of moldy old Miss Piggies. Yeah.
Oh God.
They're just in a pile somewhere in New Jersey. One day they'll set it alight and it'll just burn for 50 years.
Oh, that's nice. During the end times, we'll have a source of warmth.
Yeah. You can throw another piggy on the fire like people used to throw penguins. People used to burn penguins when they explored Antarctica.
Is this a true thing?
Yeah, because they had such.
That was the
feathers.
best reaction shot I've ever seen of Matt. Just like, what?
well, yeah. So there's a lot of Muppet penguins. So I was like, what is this weird connection you're making of throwing another penguin on the fire?
Because they got like the oil or whatever, the blubber, the vibes.
Yeah. People used to burn mummies similarly because there were so many mummies. They didn't know what else to do with them, so they used them as firewood. Laser, have you ever met a Muppet?
I have never met a Muppet. I have met. I own puppets. It's a very different thing. And I've been been to the Muppet, the Jim Henson little zone in LA where they have the studio. Yes.
Oh yeah.
The like Charlie Chaplin Theater where they have like some guys. They have some of the dinosaurs there. They like, and that's very cool. I used to watch dinosaurs, but none of them were currently embodied in spirit.
Their souls were gone.
Sure, yeah.
Their souls were gone. They had
were
no
astral
souls
projecting at the time. Have you met any Muppet performers?
God, I don't know. I met Joel Hodgson, who's not a Muppet performer, but who does do a lot of puppet stuff, which is very,
I would die
cool.
on the spot if I met Joel. He is my absolute hero. When I was in when I was like in middle school, probably I was like, I'm gonna be just like this guy. And so
you kind of talk like Joel.
I mean, that's probably why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have small eyes and I'm really tired. So he just like, I really clicked with him.
Yeah. Truly a lovely human being.
I feel like I need to watch some Mystery Science Theater because as someone who hasn't, it'd be fascinating to go watch someone that you're comparing Sam to after talking to Sam for so many hundreds of hours to be like, wait a minute, is this where it all comes from?
Are you from the Midwest, Sam?
I think you'd learn a thing or two about me. No, I'm just from Montana, which is pretty similar in some ways.
It's closer than some places are to Minnesota, I would say.
Yeah.
Like France.
My dad's entire family is from Minnesota, so I have it in my soul. It's in Minnesota.
That is relevant. I'm glad you said that because that is basically the same thing. Yeah.
Well, that's enough about mummies in Minnesota, I think. So how about we transition into hey, Sam, what do we watch this week?
First, we watched Volume 6 of the Muppet Babies video storybook VHSs, which I think is the last one. Is that right?
It is. You are welcome.
It's pretty demented of you, Matt, that you made somebody else watch one of these.
I told him he didn't have to.
These are supposed to be our secret shame. No one else,
and perhaps Jim's secret shame.
I don't know. I think he probably had an okay time. This time, Robin is sick, so Kermit reads him some stories, just to pass the time, get his mind off being sick. First is Gonzo and the Great Race. Gonzo's having a tricycle race with Skeeter and imagines that they're having like a crazy race with gyrocopters and pogo sticks, and they're racing to Pluto. And while he's imagining this, he's also imagining all the great prizes that he'd win if he won. But when he snaps back to reality, he has indeed won the race and then asks for his prize and is told by the other babies that the race was just for fun, that there are no prizes. But Skeeter gives him a piece of candy anyway, and then that's the end of it. Next up, Baby Fozzie is Afraid of the Dark, which is the title of the book and also the first sentence of my summary. Kermit tries to help him by walking him through an imaginary scenario where they're flying over the town at night in their bed, seeing all the people who are still awake and have their lights on, even in the middle of the night, and the animals that are awake at night, and the big sky of beautiful stars. And all of this helps Fozzie feel less like scared and alone in the dark, and he falls asleep. Finally, baby Piggy's mermaid tail. Baby Piggy doesn't want to get out of the tub and starts imagining herself as a mermaid. But she doesn't really do like fun mermaid things. Instead, she imagines herself in a little morality tale where she listens to her worst impulses and tries to steal pearls from clams and eats too much food. And this all culminates in her opening a bottle that has some evil fish inside that drink the entire ocean. And then she makes a whale cry and he refills the entire ocean. And she learns that she can't just do whatever she wants, I guess, and then gets out of the bathtub. And that's the end of Muppet Baby video storybooks forever. And then we're back. Season 5. Is that right? Season 5 of Muppet
Correct.
Babies. It's back. The first
we are
episode.
in the fall of me and Sam turning 1 year old right around this time.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, hey. I thought you were around the same age as us.
So we're all exactly the same age, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were born on the same
That's
day.
pretty cool.
In the same hospital.
So the first episode we watched was from September 10th, 1988. When's your birthday, Matt?
The 13th.
The 13th. Really close. Your birthday will happen between the next two episodes. Muppets Not Included is the name of this episode. Fozzie and Kermit are sent down to the basement by Nanny to find a box full of old junk because she's looking for something specific that she doesn't really name. While poking around, they find a mystery item that the audience doesn't get to see throughout most of the episode, and they try to imagine what it could possibly be. They bring the box up, and Nanny looks through it and doesn't see the thing she's looking for and leaves. And then after she's gone, Kermit and Fozzie pull out the mystery object, and the babies take turns trying to figure out what it is. Gonzo thinks that it is a space spatula. Rolf thinks that it's a banjo. Scooter thinks it's a dinosaur skull. Piggy thinks it's a microphone. But then Nanny walks in and sees them playing with this thing, and it turns out it was what she was looking for, and that it is a tea strainer. And she takes it, leaving the babies confused because she doesn't actually really explain what a tea strainer is, and they're just like, what's a tea strainer?
To be fair
Next
to her,
up.
she very much explains what a tea strainer is.
Yeah, I
and
guess
they
that's true.
What? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's true. She does tell them exactly what it is right.
She said, you put tea in here, you put it in hot water, and you stir it. And they're like, I still don't get it.
Yeah, I think she's like, do you understand?
I don't know what
And
else
they
I can say.
Yeah, they're like, no. She's like, okay, bye. Next up, Beauty and the Schnoz. Air date September 17th, 1988. The babies are painting, and Piggy's going around telling them that all their paintings suck, except for one of a bird and one of a butterfly. Nanny tries to tell Piggy that beauty is subjective, but Piggy doesn't want to hear it. Neither does Gonzo, who takes inspiration from Piggy's love of butterflies and birds to dress himself up like a butterfly bird guy to try to make her think
ballerina.
He's beautiful.
I'm so sorry.
I just didn't know where the ballerina part came from. Did she mention that at some point?
Yeah,
she did mention that.
Ballerina. Yeah,
but nobody painted a picture of a ballerina, did they? She was just like, also, I like ballerinas too.
Yeah. There's a thing that happens, which we've referenced before, and I think happens in this episode and the next episode. Occasionally on Muppet Babies, it feels like there was a plot line that they had to delete because of time. Yeah. And they left little crumbs of it in there of like, well, okay, that kind of just came out of nowhere. So I'm guessing somebody who doesn't have a story in this episode probably mentioned that at some point.
Somebody painted a ballerina.
Yeah.
Or it could be either that it was something that was erased or something that genuinely wasn't there from the beginning. And they were like, we'll go back and add this in. And then they just didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if that was this.
It also is unnecessary. He could have just been a butterfly bird. I don't know why he had to be a butterfly bird ballerina.
I think because they wanted
way
three
funnier.
Of them.
Yeah.
It's way
also,
funnier. Yeah.
The tutu on that horrible looking monster is a nice touch.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, he goes in the closet, dresses himself up like this butterfly bird ballerina, comes out. They make a really half-assed attempt to do a Beauty and the Beast segment that doesn't go anywhere as far as I remember. It basically falls apart immediately. And then the rest of the episode is Gonzo hanging out with Cyrano de Bergerac, because they both have big noses, trying to woo Piggy without her seeing him because he's so ugly, before Gonzo's just like, you know what? I think I'm beautiful, and that's all that matters. And he tells Piggy that he likes her right to her face, which she receives in a slightly positive, kind of lukewarm way. And that's basically the end of the episode. This episode shouldn't exist. Shouldn't have been made, in my opinion.
You didn't mention Steve Martin once.
Well, it doesn't matter.
He's the end of the episode.
That doesn't matter, though. What am I going to say?
It doesn't matter, but it is, for some reason, the end of the episode.
Yeah, because they needed to fill time. They were like, if we show him walking for 1 minute, we won't have to animate 1 minute less of this show.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. Finally, The Pig Who Would Be Queen, which aired on Jim's birthday and mine, September 24th, 1987. Happy birthday, Jim. Here's an episode of a subpar cartoon based on your intellectual property. The
Also, it aired
babies are
1988.
1988.
You said your actual birthday.
My actual birthday is 1987. That's
Yes.
right. And this is 1988, 1 year later. The babies are making Nanny a story box, which is basically a diorama with a little fairy tale scene inside. And as they are making it, they imagine themselves in the story told by the story box. Piggy is a queen with no castle because Skeeter is taking so long to make it. So she goes on a little quest, kind of to pass the time, to defeat a serpent with Sir Kermelot, his squire Fozzie, Rolf, who is a very annoying minstrel, and Gonzo, who's like a leprechaun fairy guy who's stressed out about a time limit for some reason. Eventually, Piggy gets her castle, and they give Nanny the story box, and which she very generously calls better than the movies. Not true. This is the biggest stretch yet, I'd say.
If a bunch of animated children gave you a box, I mean, I would be impressed if like a pig and a frog.
I mean, if you had a house full of orphans from mysterious provenance, then you would be nice to them, I suppose. They don't have parents. They're not allowed to go
Truly,
outside.
as soon as you start explaining Muppet Babies, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, so if your room is weird and you wish you weren't there,
Yeah.
because maybe your parents are missing and you just have a set of legs as a nanny.
Yeah.
And
So just close
Our
your
room
eyes
is
and
weird.
make believe, and you can be
Our
anywhere.
room is
I
weird
promise.
Our room is weird because there's bars on the window. Pretty weird room. If you were a kid looking to spare yourself the pain of watching Muppet Babies on a Saturday morning in 1988, you could instead watch one of these shows that premiered this television season. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Garfield and Friends, Hey Vern, It's Ernest, The Completely Mental Misadventures of Ed Grimley, or The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Or what was that a bad reaction to Ed Grimley, Matt?
No, it's the idea that like those other very classic shows, and in the middle they're like, but what if we gave Ernest and Ed Grimley animated TV shows?
Ernest was huge. This is like getting into the era of culture that I like earliest remember. Ernest was he loomed huge in my life.
So, I'm not saying
so
Ernest
crazy.
himself was not a huge presence. I'm saying that this was also the era when everything had a cartoon and
this is
an NES
interesting.
game.
Because I think so. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, obviously Muppet Babies related, as was Flintstone Kids last year. But now, Hey Vern, It's Ernest and Completely Mental Misadventures of Ed Grimley must be Pee-wee. Must have been Pee-wee. They like, kids love freaks. Let's get some more freaks out there.
We need some weird-faced freaks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could stick with the classics and watch Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters, Pee-wee's Playhouse, The Flintstone Kids, or Gummy Bears. Good Saturday morning lineup. I feel like this is the first year where I'd be like, all right, this rules. Before this, there was a lot of crap, but it's starting to get pretty good.
You think that's related at all to the fact that those are the shows that were on when you were a kid and everything before that was something that you didn't
Nope.
watch
I think
live?
if
that sounds wrong.
I think if you looked at the older schedules, it was a lot of stuff that was actually made like in the early 70s that they were rerunning.
Oh, just rerunning.
Like
yeah.
there was like Transformers and He-Man and stuff, which weren't really Saturday morning cartoons. They were more like afternoon cartoons, which I think a lot of people remember as like, I'd wake up Saturday morning and watch all of that. But really it was just like old episodes of like Huckleberry Hound. And now we're getting to where things are like really we're
the
selling toys to
merchandise
kids
started
now.
paying for the
That's
for
right.
content. Yeah.
I think Muppet
Sad.
Babies really like led the charge on that. I think they were the first
Yeah.
one who was like, we're gonna sell these kids so much shit with these babies, and now everybody else is kind of catching on.
Yeah, it's for real.
Was this before, you know more about Ernest than I do, Sam? Was this before or after any of the movies? Or was like this Ernest's first foray into non-commercial media?
Well, he was literally invented for commercials.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So-
Is his TV series, did he get
Oh,
that
okay.
after did he
I
already do a
understand.
movie, or did he do commercials, then TV series, and then a movie? Because I also, for some reason, owned like every Ernest movie on VHS. I say for some reason, it's worth clarifying. My mom worked at a video store that shut down at one point, and we just got to take like everything. So I had a lot of VHS tapes like more than I could ever watch. And Ernest definitely also loomed large in that collection.
Ernest Goes to Camp had come out in 1987. Ernest Saves
Okay.
Christmas was about to come out in 1988.
Oh, dang. Big time.
So,
this is, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, this was early. This was early in his career. But his career burned bright and fast, I would say.
I didn't know that he was a commercials guy, so he was kind of like the Geico's caveman of his time.
You know, he was actually more kind of like, he was like a Rhett and Link kind of guy, because he was very specific. Yeah. He lived in the South in like Florida, and he would make commercials for local businesses, but they were like
invented
really
this
good
character
and really funny
to do commercials for these local businesses, and everyone was like, who's this guy?
These are really good. Yeah.
He's got star quality. Let's send him to camp.
He's committed too many crimes. Time to go to jail.
There is I've shouted this channel out repeatedly on this podcast because the content that this channel makes on YouTube is, I feel like, overlaps if you're a fan of Muppets and old TV like we are, but it's Hats Off Entertainment on YouTube. I think this is somebody that I think I want to try and have on the podcast at some point, so that will happen hopefully. But did a video called Jim Varney, the Original Viral Star. That's like a 17-minute video all about how Jim Varney became who he was as Ernest. And it's a very, very well-researched video with a lot of footage of those early days. Let me run through Jim's busy summer, and then we'll actually dive into the Muppet Babies content for this week. This was a very, very busy summer with a ton of travel for Jim. As I mentioned, the last thing we talked about was from May of 1988, and now we're in September. So I'm running through that whole section of Jim's journal from Jim's Red Book, the very helpful website, which lets us know what the hell he's up to when he doesn't make stuff for a whole summer. Great. The secret is he's actually making everything all at the same time behind the scenes. So May 14th, 1988, Jim writes, visit Brian and Wendy in Chagford. This is, he's in England. And he's visiting with Brian and Wendy Froud. This is the couple who met while working together on The Dark Crystal. Brian was the conceptual designer whose work inspired the look of the entire movie. And Wendy was hired to build puppets for The Dark Crystal and designed and sculpted the Gelflings. And their love child, Toby, would go on to play Toby in Labyrinth.
Their love child or just their child?
Their child, but, you know, on that little spice.
I think we should start saying love child for every
for
child.
All child.
Every baby's a love child.
Yeah.
May 15th and 16th, 1988, Jim writes, visit taping of Mother Goose in Plymouth. Brian directing. Yeah. So yeah, this was Brian making his directorial debut. Brian Henson.
Different Brian. Yeah.
Yes, not Brian Froud. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot I had just mentioned another Brian. But yes, Mother Goose, which we will, talk about somewhat soon, is where they adapted nursery rhymes into 39 8-minute segments that were then grouped together into threes to make 13 30-minute episodes.
Oh, no.
So there's 13 episodes with 39 nursery rhymes discussed.
Are these puppet stories or?
Yeah, they're kind of realistic looking animal, like Emmett Otter-y sort of stuff.
It's not storybook. We're looking at still images of things.
No, thank goodness.
Okay.
But
now that I know that there are 13 of these, I realize that I probably only had one, and now I'm very curious what it was.
So what you probably owned was in the same VHS series as You're as Funny as Fozzie Bear. One of those VHS tapes was a Mother Goose Stories VHS tape that had, I think, 3 of these on it. So you probably at least had that one if you're, in that same era of Muppet VHS tapes. But the show actually doesn't premiere until 1990 after Jim's passing, and would go on to win a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Directing. So good job, Brian Henson.
You know who else won a Daytime Emmy Award? Ernest for Hey Vern, It's Ernest.
Was it Best Ernest?
Yeah, they made a special one just for him.
It just looked like him. It's an Oscar statue. They just cut the head off and put Ernest's head on it.
They gave him an Ernie. Yeah. He's got a whole shelf of them.
Well, May 17th and 18th, Jim writes, in Stockholm, Swedish chef for Good Morning America, which we did talk about last time, and we talked about a little bit this time. Jim's Red Book also doesn't really know why this happened, but did write most likely to promote the Swedish chef breakfast cereal, Crunchy Stars, that would show up in grocery stores in the spring,
My aunt and uncle had a box of Crunchy Stars just like to save, and I was always like, why aren't we opening this? And it's like, oh, it's because it's really old and we're just looking at it. And I never understood. I was just like, well, that looks great. Can we please have some Crunchy Stars? I'm Swedish, so that's also like, it was
they're like, this is our heritage.
Yeah.
They've never made a Swedish cereal before. We have to
a traditional meal of Crunchy Stars.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Notably, Alex Rockwell, who we talked a bit about last time, was Jim's like creative assistant, I think was her title, said, quote, that she saw what a rock star the Swedish chef was in Sweden for obvious reasons. It's like the other Muppets didn't exist. So amazing. Our theory that they were upset with him mocking them maybe didn't hold true.
Okay.
I mean, one person can be mad about it without everybody being mad about it also.
Maybe he was just so excited he didn't know how to even react.
And there's also the chance that maybe she saw the two people who really love the Swedish chef and everyone else was like, we hate that guy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
and we
that
hate
guy
those two also.
That guy didn't hate that he was Swedish. He hated he was a chef. He was like, bad job being a chef.
Coming for my job.
Yeah. If he had been the Swedish fireman, he would have been like, how hilarious. Look at this idiot.
Yeah. The voice, the accent, none of that I have a problem with. It's just his job.
You'd hate to see the Swedish chef rolling up as a fireman if your house was on fire.
Yeah.
The
fire will win.
Bad time. Yeah.
But then Jim popped over to Detroit for the launch of the Muppet Traffic Safety Show, which we sort of talked about last time, and we will have to talk about more in the future because literally within hours of recording that episode, multiple full clips of the behind the scenes of the making of that dropped on the internet. So really someone out there is taunting us.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Literally the next day, I think, or within hours, someone in our Discord was like, oh, by the way, have you guys found this? And I'm like, no, but we just recorded that episode, and now I'm angry at this 40-year-old YouTube video.
Laser, it was like a little Disneyland ride that they would bring from mall to mall where you'd sit in a little car and the Muppet animatronics would tell you how to not get killed in a fatal car accident.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love that.
But we only had, at the time we discussed it, a home video that someone shot in 1990 of their daughter riding around on the ride. And so we could barely hear what was going on. We got sort of the gist of it. But now there's like a full soundtrack that got released and a whole behind the scenes video of like Jim talking about it. And I'm like, oh, this is exactly what we needed at almost exactly the right time. But then from Detroit, he pops over to New York. May 26th, Graham Windham honors Joan Cooney. Kermit sings Green. So this was, he was participating in a salute to Joan Gans Cooney, who created Sesame Street. This was the Graham Windham Children's Charity, was doing a salute to her. Jim had been honored 2 years before, and Joan made the speech for Jim, and so he's returning the favor here. And for her tribute, Jim performed Kermit singing Bein' Green.
That's nice. He's probably sick of singing that, though, huh?
But I think there's it's probably like the Rolling Stones, where it's like you're probably sick of singing it for the 1,000th time, but seeing the reaction people have to it is probably addictive.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you had, if there was something that you've done in the past that you could just do, and everyone would be like, you're doing it again, amazing! Like you'd be like, I'm just gonna do this every day.
Probably go away. Leave people alone.
Wow, we did it again. I love that.
Yeah.
I saw Willie Nelson at the Hollywood Bowl, and he does, he has a billion songs that he's done a million times. And the very funny thing is that he'll do the thing that a lot of like old rock stars do, where he'll just kind of sing not at all in the right rhythm.
We call that the Bob Dylan.
Again. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I just can't out the road again. Like, it's very funny. It's just like he has to do all of these songs, but he's also clearly just kind of like, whatever, I'll just do it. Just
I gotta have a little fun
for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, there's like a spectrum of the stars who do that, and Bob Dylan is at the fuck you end of that, where he's just like, oh, you want to hear those songs? You're gonna but you're gonna hate it at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, then Jim pops over to Tokyo from June 5th through 8th and writes, visit High Def TV. So this is in, apparently, Back in 1986, Jim appeared in a print campaign for the Mitsubishi 2053 monitor receiver with full square diamond vision picture. So this was Jim doing a TV ad for magazines that was just like, hey, I'm a TV guy. Look at this badass TV, which probably cost $8,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But as payment for doing that ad, Jim received one of those television sets, which also makes me think it was probably a very expensive TV.
Hell yeah.
But this time, he's going over to Japan. It's, according to Jim's Red Book, maybe specifically just to see the latest technology for high-definition TV.
That makes sense for him.
Yes, he was fully convinced that HD was the future. And in a 1989 presentation at the AFI, American Film Institute in LA, Los Angeles, he was asked about what format he was shooting on at the time. And he said 1-inch videotape, but that for digital animation and backgrounds, he was trying to shoot on beta, even though the post-production houses aren't geared for it yet. And went on to say the technology of television is certainly changing, evolving all the time. And I think we are getting closer to the blending of the electronic and the movie picture. Certainly, that will happen fairly soon with the high definition and so on.
Wow. He was right about everything.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's a clip from very near the time that he passes where he was trying to come up with a show where people would record themselves on video cameras. And he's talking about this idea of like, the future is people making their own content with their own cameras. And it's like, oh, you have no idea, sir. It's a show he hires Dana Gould, I believe, to make for him. Yeah. Right. I don't know that the pilot is out there to watch, but the video of him talking about producing the pilot is out there to watch. June 15th, 1988, Jim is back in New York to film him skipping stones in Central Park for the Neat Stuff home video that's going to come out soon. June 17th, 1988, Witches first unit finishes. So this is the Angelica Houston movie, The Witches, finishes filming after starting filming in April of 1988. And Jim was heavily involved with the promotion of the film. He was executive producer on the movie. He apparently was instrumental in finding a balance between the director and Roald Dahl. I think he was maybe a mediator for some of their conflict. And in addition to that, Jim's Creature Shop obviously made a bunch of the creatures for the Witches, and he was active in ensuring that the public was made aware of those unique contributions. So I love the way that's worded, because that's Jim being like, hey, you put our name on that press release. July 18th, 1988, a fascinating one here. It just says, Phyllis Viella cuts my hair.
Who's that?
I cannot find anything about who this possibly might be. And there's no notes on Jim's Red Book, but Jim felt like it was important enough to write out this woman's full Christian name of who cut his hair.
Maybe it was either a really good haircut or a really bad haircut.
Don't forget Phyllis. I hate her.
Yeah, it feels like either somebody, like, he keeps forgetting her name, so he writes it down so he can, like, show up and be like, Phyllis Viella, hello, how's it going?
Hey! Well, July 21st, 1988, at Warner's, show piece of film to get more money.
That's what it says?
Yeah, verbatim.
Cool. Straightforward, yeah.
Presumably this is footage from The Witches. It doesn't say that, but I have to imagine that's the only thing right now that he would be doing that for. July 25th and 26th, VTR, The Jim Henson Hour, pilot show with Bobby McFerrin. So, according to Jim's Red Book, the script drafts for various sketches and Jim's introductions and the home base segments were, quote, burning up the fax lines between Jerry Juhl's home in California and the production offices in New York. Kirk Thatcher, who had designed several characters, was working on storyboards for the title sequence. And Jim, along with the production and creative concerns, was carefully choosing his wardrobe, finding a good hairstyle, thanks Phyllis, and meeting with a speech coach to hone his on-camera skills. August 8th, 1988, Jim writes excitedly, New Central Park Zoo opens.
Aww.
There's no context because he was just excited about the zoo.
That's nice. Well, he lived right next to it, I'd imagine.
Yes, he lived walking distance from it, so... but then, apparently, no time for zoo. August 11th to 13th, in Moscow with Heather and Michael Frith. VTR, Kermit for Free to Be. So Jim had gone to Russia previously in 1984 to tape segments for Jim Henson Presents The World of Puppetry. And in 1988, he went back with his youngest daughter, Heather, to tape pieces for Marlo Thomas's television special, Free to Be a Family, a follow-up to her highly acclaimed Free to Be You and Me. And the fun fact about this one is I got to discuss this trip briefly with Heather during my visit to New York last year.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
This was one of the things that we got in one of our one-on-one conversations we got to have, was talking about her trip to Russia. And I brought up that, like, oh, we had discussed Jim visiting Russia, performing with John Denver and all this stuff. And that was one of those weird moments where you're telling the story about something we talked about. And I'm like, your dad, Jim Henson, went to Russia. Like, it's a very odd position to be in, to be, every other conversation I'll ever have about this man, I'm going to say Jim or Jim Henson. And in this case, I'm like, well, when your father went to Russia.
Yeah. And sometimes you would also go, right?
Yeah. And that's what we were trying to discuss. She's like, yeah, I think he went once or twice before then. And I'm like, yeah, I think we discussed that he went once to do this thing. And so she started asking me, like, how many times he had been to Russia before she went with him. And I'm like, I am sorry, I do not know. I think at least once, but I'm sorry. I presented myself as an expert in this. Then August 14th through 17th, Jim is in Newcastle for filming of Fafner Hall. So in 1980, they started kicking around the idea of developing something to promote.
We're going to start watching this soon?
Yeah.
No.
They started kicking around the idea of developing something to promote general music education for middle school children. The original plan was a series of videos, a television special, audio cassettes, books, and a specially designed musical instrument. Don't know what that would have been. And so they kicked this around for several years. And then in 1987, finally we're like, what if we did something called The Ghost of Fafner Hall? So we will watch this soon. The description is freaking wild. Each episode featured a story about the ghost Fujetta Fafner in her great English mansion and her friends Mimi, Riff, and the wild impresario as they attempted to foil the nefarious Farkas. Somehow along the way, we will learn something about music. But yeah, the series will air in 13 episodes on HBO in the fall of 1989. So we're about a year out in our chronological timeline from seeing those. And the last thing Jim was up to before these things started to air was on August 18th, 1988, London press conference, Mother Goose. So this was the team officially announcing Jim Henson's Mother Goose stories. The show would premiere in the UK on ITV that September, and then in the US on the Disney Channel on August 26th, 1990, which is when we will discuss them in our commitment timeline. So we've already talked about it a bit, but Laser, what was your overall feelings about, and I want these answers separately because I'm very curious, the video storybooks and the episodes of Muppet Babies you had to watch?
Video storybooks were interesting. I mean, I felt like as soon as I started watching it, I was like, well, this is a nice and affordable way to make content. I see why they did it.
You did text me of like, could Complexly do this?
Yeah. Let's just start. It's so, I mean, this is like the era of reading Rainbow or whatever, where like, we have these stories. What if we translate them just directly by reading a book? Which I think is interesting. I feel like there's a lot of, I'll tell you what I wrote down. First of all, the obsessions with Gonzo's nose, I don't know if it would pass sensitivity testing these days, but
is there a Freudian thing happening there?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, no, there's other,
there's
but
all kinds
it was
of stuff going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've decided it's okay to make fun of noses. It's like, I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, there's a certain fair. There's a certain number of things that in the 80s the Muppet Babies was okay making fun of, including noses and Piggy eating, and just in general her weight, and huge dorks like Scooter, that like probably aren't present in the modern Muppet Babies adaptation.
Yeah. These days they're more just like, wow, Gonzo's a real weirdo, which I think is great. But also Gonzo's very self-confident still back then, which is, I think, fantastic. Let's see, what did I write down? Oh, have you looked into the authors of these books already when you've done these things? It's so fun. Ellen Weiss, who wrote a bunch of kids' books. I don't know if it's the same Ellen Weiss, and I tried very hard to find out. But there's somebody named Ellen Weiss, in addition to writing like hundreds of children's books, also wrote some Tales from the Crypt and the novelization of the movie Zathura.
Ooh, amazing.
She wrote,
no matter what movie you would have said, it would have been a great answer. But Zathura is like the sweet spot of just good movie no one has seen, and also can't imagine reading the novelization of it.
Yes.
It's also already a book. Like it
was a children's book first. That's true.
And then,
it was a children's book, and then it became a movie, and then I think it's like the young readers version of the movie of the book, which is fantastic. And then Marilyn Kay, who I also looked up, who I think wrote the Fozzie is Afraid of the Dark one, also wrote like a bunch of children's books, but also like the young adult, like girls talking books, and then also romance novels, just like that whole genre of this is what literature for children/women is, which I think is fantastic. I love this, like looking at careers. Well, you mentioned Dana Gould. I mean, and Jim Henson, right? These people whose like jobs are like a billion different things, but definitely are tied together in a specific way, which I absolutely love. I liked the storybooks. I didn't understand why he kept calling her the redheaded rocket in the first book. It was
that was they
just
committed
like
to that so early on,
Yeah.
and you're like, I guess we're just saying this every time, I guess, huh?
It felt like, I mean, it felt like a way to dehumanize her, so we didn't want her to win. But I guess it's also Gonzo's story. But maybe I'm reading too much into it.
That was one of my big notes on that one was, why did it have to just be Gonzo's story? How come it couldn't? Skeeter hasn't gotten her own book from any of the ones we've seen. She's been like a secondary character in them, but I don't understand why she did have to be like, why it couldn't go back and forth between both of their viewpoints or something. I thought was a little weird.
They did at one point say, "This is your imagination, Gonzo," which explains things like the 26 left boots and the oatmeal and sardines, etc. But also, it was still his imagination when he didn't get a prize that he wanted, right? So that's
something we struggle with a lot. Is that the Muppet Babies often imagine themselves as losers? Like even when they're trying to like solve a problem, they imagine their way out of it, and in the imagination, they're like, "Oh man, we still suck."
Yeah, like it's like Piggy's story in this is like, I'm a mermaid. I'm getting in trouble a lot though. I'm like a bad mermaid who's destroying the world.
I love the yes fish in the mermaid story, like true, like that because like that's, I feel like that's like the realest thing I've ever, like Miss Piggy's like has too many yes voices in her head, and this is a very good like character description of like how Piggy got the way she is like she's supposed to listen to the quietest place in your heart, but when there are too many yes fish yelling at you to be like, get bangs, move to Paris, become the editor of Vogue. Like,
there have been a lot of books where she has learned not to be something that she very much is as an adult, and it is kind of sad. It's like, oh, you'll never change.
Yeah.
There was a moment in that book where it felt like they were trying to toss a bunch of lessons at us. Where Piggy does the yes fish, she almost kidnaps a pearl,
a baby pearl,
and then they're like, hey, we got to go to this purple porpoise picnic, and I'm just like, what is happening here? What are we supposed to be taking away from this?
Well, not science. Not science. No, very angry about the science, because she goes, she flaps her tail left and she goes up and right and goes down, which is not how it works.
It's like how it works in video games.
She didn't invert her axis.
Yeah.
I have to say this out loud because I read a book about mermaids where there's a bunch of fantasy mermaids, and it's like a fantasy book. And the way that fish move is using a swim bladder, which they inflate or deflate with oxygen. And that was in the book I read, which was a very interesting thing of like, this is a thing that we have to describe humanoid characters as having a cool bladder full of different gases that move them.
Where'd they put it?
Water. Butt.
I guess, you don't really need a butt.
They have a lot of extra space in their big tail, I would imagine, for a lot of different organs. They don't need to have leg bones or anything.
In that one, it bugged me a little bit that Piggy is shocked to find she has a tail at one point.
That threw me too. Yeah.
She should have all the time.
I did. I actually was. I don't think I was looking at the screen when that happened, and they were like, and she looks down at her tail, and I'm like, oh yeah, she has like a little curly tail on the back, and it's like, oh no, she has like a weird fish. But yeah, she should know that she has a tail.
That's not anything they ever show though, and she's often wearing skin tight outfits, and you can see her butt. She doesn't have a tail.
There is famously an episode of the 2015 ABC series where she has a wardrobe malfunction on the red carpet, and her tail slips out of her dress.
But I think up until then, it was a kind of an open question as to whether or not she had
correct.
One.
That was the first time I believe we ever did see Piggy's tail. It's a good show, people. Go watch it.
Wait, how many years until you guys get to watch that on this show?
50? I don't know.
Don't talk about it, please. Don't say stuff like that.
Also, if a fish drank a bunch of water, it wouldn't change the volume of the ocean. Okay, I'm fine.
Well, to be fair, they refer to them as creatures, these sea sippers. I don't know if they necessarily say that they were fish. So
okay, so they have like an alternate dimension inside their bodies that the water goes to.
TARDIS,
it's like a
TARDIS sippers. Yeah.
Portable hole kind of situation.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they drank the whole ocean laser. Where's the confusion here?
Yeah, and then it came back because a whale cried.
Yeah.
I also like, speaking of Marvel, that Dr. Octopus is in this book.
Yeah,
That's
Doc
really
Ock
nice.
is her doctor.
Oh, yeah. Right. I didn't think about that. Why does the doctor have an bottle full of ancient evil that can drink the entire ocean? I'm not really sure.
Well, that's the thing too.
I guess
Is like,
he's
again,
the most trustworthy guy in the ocean.
It's just like It's a Wonderful Life when the pharmacist has poison for some reason, and it's like, well, yeah, clearly there was going to be a mistake at some point, but like
sometimes you need a little bit of poison in your medicine, Matt. Maybe.
Sure. You said that confidently enough, and Hank's not here, so I'll trust you.
I did write down my favorite phrase, which I'm going to think about for a long time, which is Piggy, who was more interested in the yes than in the truth.
Yeah.
It's like real. It's real
Piggy
stuff.
would love Twitter.
I didn't mind like the general lesson or like story of that book. I just think it was kind of sad that she got to have a mermaid adventure, and it was such a bummer mermaid adventure. Like,
well, yeah, it becomes about her just eating too much and getting sick, and then opening a jar she shouldn't open, almost kidnapping a baby. Like,
your imagination has really gone wrong if you find yourself sitting in the doctor's office as part of your mermaid.
Yeah, you don't need to be a mermaid to kidnap, eat too much, or open a jar.
Yeah,
those aren't mermaid things.
No.
And you're always saying that, and I really wish you would stop.
It's the hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I guess, I don't know. I don't want to be a mermaid, so this felt fine to me. This felt like a
yeah, their lives seem too complicated.
I did like that she was wearing, because, character design, she's wearing her gloves in the bathtub at the beginning.
Yeah, she has to.
Yeah.
She's got to.
I feel like this is like in a world where, for this story, we sort of pretend no other Muppet Babies exist. Because like Nanny is letting Piggy have a bath by herself and is like, hey, you need to go to bed. And at the very end, we see Piggy in her own bed, sleeping in a big like pink comfy bed by herself. And I'm like, oh, this is the real Piggy Imagination series where she's like imagining that she's an only child.
And all the other animals have gone to military school or something like that.
Well, and her parents didn't abandon her.
Yeah. Our real theory is that they are in a government facility, much like 11 in Stranger Things.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that this is one of many nurseries in this building.
Yeah. At this point, I think that the adult Muppets decided that they needed more money, so they commissioned the Muppet Babies to be created from their DNA, but they're tiny and cute forever. So then they're using the Muppet Babies to generate these stories and this content so that they can just be rolling in the bucks without doing anything. That's the tale of Muppet Babies.
That's horrifying. I love it.
Well, because notably, in 60-some episodes, we have never seen them go outside.
Of the cartoon. We've seen one of them climb in the window from outside. But
Scooter
never
comes
have their
inside,
feet
he
touch
climbs
grass.
through the window with a robot toy. But that's the only evidence we ever have of a Muppet Baby being outside of the nursery.
Yeah. In a previous storybook, Fozzie is seen flying a kite outside, just out the window of the nursery. They're so devoted.
His imagination of flying a kite is he stands inside the nursery and flies the kite out of the window. Like,
it's really pathetic. Yeah.
Oh no.
So they're stuck in there.
I guess. Well, he does. I guess this is imagination, right? When they leave to like go fly over the city to see stuff during the day.
We do get. The only time so far has been in one of these video storybooks. I think the last time we talked about them, there is one where Kermit and Piggy at the end of it decide to go outside and play in the rain puddles, and see them
do it, and you do see it.
Yeah. Yes. So the only evidence that we have actually seen of Muppet Babies being outside in reality is Kermit and Piggy playing in the puddles after the rain. So
I hope Jim Henson had a talk to them about breaking canon. I hope that they had a real.
It's got to be in a Bible somewhere. It's like we can't draw outside, so don't even.
I hope the last episode of Muppet Babies is them just all walking outside and being like, "We're free," and running away.
Or just like their eyes shrivel up because they've never seen like natural sunlight.
Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem pull up and be like, "Hey, you want to party?"
Yeah, all the adult Muppets are there.
I one thing I thought about the Fozzie Afraid of the Dark thing, is that Kermit goes and shows Fozzie all of these things that are happening at night. But if
Mhm.
you have ever read a book to a kid and you know the follow-up questions, like it's not good stuff. It's like, oh, that's the night watchman. He protects the factory. From what?
From
What does he protect
whom?
the fact? There's the firemen
Well-
and the policemen. What are they? Why do they have to be awake? Why do the firemen and the policemen have to be awake? Like all of these
Yeah.
people are just here in case of an emergency, except for the
Also-
people who are cleaning offices.
I also think it would make some kids go, "Oh, so I can stay up all night?" And they're like, "Ah, shit, no, this backfired." Like you're supposed to actually go to bed right now. Is the problem we're having?
Or those animals who are getting food at night. What's that food? Sometimes it's other animals. There's murder most foul in the night. Basically, is the answer to all
Pigs
these
are getting
questions.
eaten. Frogs are getting eaten by bears. It's a whole thing.
Oh, owls are definitely eating
for
frogs.
sure.
Like maybe that's why Kermit didn't want to get too close to that one.
It's a vibe.
I also like that Robin's takeaway from the piggy story was, "Oh, I hope I get to meet blubbery like the sad whale someday." Why have all the characters in that story? Would you want to meet?
Oh,
the
you know,
sad
Robin
whale?
loves sad stuff. Robin,
He's like, I bet I can
just-
make that. Yeah, I bet I can make that motherfucker cry so hard.
I'm gonna sing halfway down the stairs, and that whale's gonna flood the world.
Yeah.
Robin is such a sad, soft boy. You know, he's going to college and being like, "Oh, I'm so sad," and the girls are like, "Oh, you're so sensitive and stuff," and then he doesn't know how to treat them.
Oh,
well.
you brought your guitar again, Robin. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. You know, my uncle plays banjo. Yes, we know, Robin.
Yeah.
We know. Jesus Christ.
We know who your uncle is. That's
To-
why you got
to
into
be
this
fair to
school.
To be fair to Robin, every Muppet is the kind of guy who would bring their guitar to the party. Like
100%.
that's all of them.
That's very true.
He's just
Yeah, they all
raised
fall out
that
at the same
way.
time. They're like, "Oh, this is awkward."
Yeah, we don't see a lot of the non-performer Muppets in the world. Like the Muppets we meet are like a traveling performance group. So you don't get to like find the people who are just like, I don't know. I'm
Well, that's
busy.
one of our favorite things from the Muppet Show is occasionally be able to have characters like Hilda the seamstress or, different
Yes.
producer type
George the
backstage.
janitor.
Right. And so you do
Yeah.
get these characters who just like make the show work but aren't on stage.
Mhm.
And they, I think it makes sense. They don't necessarily, I think, click with the audiences, so they don't
Mhm.
really hang their hat
Yeah.
on. I think Hilda's the next star.
Yeah. Well, there's the bear that's the security guard in Muppets Tonight who also has the
Bobo?
very like
Yeah, that's right.
Bobo. I'm so sorry, Bobo. He does have energy of like, I work around performers and I think I'm funny and everybody has to be nice to me, but I'm actually
Mhm.
I'm not that funny or original, which is
Well, I think one thing I wanted to note, there's a wild sleeping situation in the beginning of the Baby Fozzie is Afraid of the Dark book, because normally what we see is they have 2 cribs, and very unsafely, they have 4 babies in one and 4 babies in another. That's how we normally see the Muppet Babies sleeping.
Mhm.
As a soon-to-be father, I will say the books say, don't do that.
They fall out of the cribs onto their heads a lot, or like throw each other over the
There was
railings and stuff,
pillows,
too.
Sam.
Yeah,
Kermit landed on
well.
pillows on his neck.
On his neck.
But in the opening of this one, which, these books play fast and loose with which Muppets are important or present at
Exist.
all.
Yeah.
But in the opening of this one, there's 3 cribs like awkwardly placed, like in the middle of the nursery by the big window that we always see. And in these 3, there's 2 babies in each. So there's only 6 of the 8 total babies present. In one, you have Rolf and Gonzo sharing a bed. In another one, you have Piggy and Scooter sharing a bed. And the third, you see Fozzie and Kermit sharing a bed. And they don't show Skeeter or Animal at all.
Skeeter and Animal are being regrown in a vat. They had
Yeah.
Yeah. We lost another Skeeter.
Yeah.
always
That's what-
with the Skeeter.
That's what really happened. They just got tired of making too many new Skeeters. And so they're just
Yeah.
like,
Because she's reckless. She's always hot dogging it, breaking bones and stuff. And Animal's too much of a star. You got to keep making Animals, but
Or
they went through
a
a
predator
lot of baby
who will
animals.
devour you and kill everyone in his path.
yeah.
he gets
Yeah.
He gets the taste for blood a lot, so they have to take him out back.
You went feral again.
He sampled the flesh of man. We have to
Yeah.
do it in an animal.
That's right.
Enact the animal protocol. Take him down.
The animal voice in the Muppet Babies is so annoying. I have to say. Sorry, Dave. Kirby.
All their voices are so annoying.
I enjoy the one thing I do like about the storybooks is Jim's voices. Like the blubbery
Yeah.
blue whale is a great little weird Jim voice that I don't feel like we've ever heard him do anything like that anywhere else. And so that's my biggest takeaway usually from these is, we're getting a version of Jim that we never, ever get anywhere else. So for that alone, I'm glad we have watched them. But I'm glad they're behind us.
I think it's interesting that he doesn't try to do a Gonzo voice, but he will try to do almost everybody. Like he'll do a little Fozzie voice, he'll do a little Piggy voice, but he never tries to do any kind of different voice for Gonzo.
You know what that tells me?
He's the only one. What?
That he can't.
It tells me he tried. There's a recording somewhere of him being like,
yeah,
and he's like, I don't have it. Let's just do the normal one.
Do this one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because it would have to be him doing Kermit doing Gonzo, right? Like
right, which is what makes it trickier, is that this is Kermit doing impressions of his friends as babies.
And maybe he realized like it's not appropriate for him to imitate Gonzo because, you know, he's a different kind of guy. And maybe that's culturally problematic or something.
But a bear is okay to impersonate.
Yeah, bear's fine.
A bear's a bear!
He makes him sound really stupid too.
Yeah,
I guess so. He's big.
Do we know what happened to Robin's parents?
We don't ever hear a peep about Robin's parents. He does come to the nursery in Muppet Babies to visit as a tadpole sometimes, and is being dropped off by somebody. So they are out there, I think.
So, but wait, does that mean that he's within like 5 years of Kermit then? Well, I guess aging is probably different.
It's very weird because yes, but also how do frogs age? How old are any of these guys?
How do bears age? How do
we can safely ignoring Muppet Babies. No, he's just there. But it doesn't seem like Kermit necessarily raises Robin, except in this book, it does seem like Robin has a permanent room in Kermit's house, or Kermit's at like his sister's house babysitting Robin. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. But no, we don't know. We only know about Fozzie's parents, basically, of anybody. We just know
really
mom.
Only his mom, and then there's books that tell stories of the Muppets' other parents, but like I guess those aren't canonical because we've never seen them on screen. It's But getting into some of the Muppet Babies episodes, we have, season 5, episodes 1, 2, and 3. The first one's Muppets Not Included, written by Sidney McKay and Larry Swerdlove. The second one is Beauty and the Schnoz, written by Sidney McKay and Larry Swerdlove. And the third one is The Pig Who Would Be Queen, written by Hank Soroyan. For those that don't know or remember the way my brain does, Sidney McKay and Larry Swerdlove are the couple who wrote a bunch of Muppet Babies episodes who, I believe when they were first paired up on The Muppet Show, were not yet married, but I think got married maybe during the run of Muppet Babies.
It's a romantic show.
Mm-hmm. It's a romantic Brings people together. And then Hank Soroyan is now sort of the head writer for the series after Jeffrey Scott left. In our headcanon, went nuts after writing too many Muppet Babies episodes by himself and ran away. But in reality,
one man wrote every Muppet Babies episode for years and years.
The first 3 seasons were all written by one man who is now suing Disney, I believe. And
those episodes are truly bonkers. There are the show's calmed down a little bit, but there was definitely some times where you could be like, this guy's got some specific weird hang-ups and like things he thinks everybody thinks about.
Yes.
And now it's a little bit more of a varied point of view. But the guy who wrote The Pig Who Would Be Queen wrote Nanny's Day Off, which was maybe my favorite episode so far. And I also really liked The Pig Who Would Be Queen. I thought that was
The Pig Who Would Be Queen is definitely my favorite of the 3. I like the dialogue a lot in this one.
Yeah, it was fun.
There's actually lines in this that made me laugh, which is a rarity when it comes to Muppet Babies.
Well, then there's a lot of like just straight up like Monty Python references and references to like various things, which is very cool.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to hear that Hank Soroyan is a big Monty Python fan based on this episode.
Yeah. He's got the coconuts and the whole. It's just so funny to do that in an animated thing where they just have a horse. Like it wouldn't cost any less.
You can draw a horse real easy.
Well, they're pretty hard to draw, man. Actually, so
I would take Sam's word for that. Actually,
yeah.
I loved Cyrano's Gonzarak. Very funny. Very weird.
Cyrano's, yeah.
It
is. There's a spectrum of Gonzo nicknames that we get when they're playing characters. And I think this is on the better end of that spectrum because sometimes they'll just be like, yeah, he's the nose. And you're like, come on, guys, try a little harder.
He could have been weird to know or weird to know to weird and act.
I think Cyrano's is better. Well, so that's more of a season 1 idea, Sam. That's more that's more of a Jeffrey Scott style name. Right. But yeah, Cyrano's I enjoy. What's the second one? Gonzarak. Yeah, that's
not quite as good. That's pretty bad.
You also didn't have to. You already had Cyrano's.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Schnoz was interesting because this happens 3 years before the Disney Beauty and the Beast, and so they're using like the old Beauty and the Beast story where the original, I guess, where where Kermit comes back and he has 3 daughters and sends one of them to the
It is not a sacrifice on the daughter's part. It is the woman being like, well, that sucks. I don't want to live there. Hey, you go.
Truly incredible. I as a trans, I love Scooter complaining that he has to wear a dress and Rolf just being like, I'm wearing a dress.
Like, hey, what's going on?
Rolf says, hey, daddy-o. And then Scooter's line, I wrote this down. He says, aw, gee, do I have to be a daughter?
Hey, big mood, Scooter. You know what I mean?
They do put Scooter in a dress a lot because there are no women. There's no girl Muppets, so that he does have to pull that dude.
Yeah, they keep telling stories about multiple women or daughters and stuff, and they're like, well, we only have 2, and one of them has to be the wife.
And
so
and Piggy's the main character, so she can't be one of those side girls.
Yeah.
But they do in that one. It's interesting they make Skeeter play the wife, which is not how it normally goes down. A lot of times they'll obviously have Piggy play the wife, but they wanted her to be Beauty in this story.
I think to me the most wild choice they made was using clips from the Ron Perlman Beauty and the Beast television show.
I know. Is that Linda Cardellini?
Linda Hamilton.
Hamilton,
close.
Yes. Different.
Close in first name only.
Truly, it was because flipping what's her name from Terminator, and it's just like, this is cool. I hadn't seen her do this before. Truly amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see Sarah Connor in my Muppet Babies.
No complaints though. I was gonna say, I'm sure that there are plenty of graduate theses on Jim Henson's treatment to women and the fact that the main woman is played by a man and the whole thing, which is not always the best.
Also, that like there are female puppeteers on the Muppet Show, but they sort of had this rule where we can only have one for some reason. Like there was always one female puppeteer, and then the next season there would be a different female puppeteer. So yes, I am sure there are many theories on that, and I think something that's Sesame Street has gotten better at through the years. But
Sesame Street
still
always
not so
Sesame
much.
Sesame Street had Prairie Dawn from the very beginning too, and that was a woman, right?
Yes, Fran Brill early on, Stephanie DeBruzzo now, I believe. I'm not sure how often she's used. But like Fran Brill was one of the early female Muppet performers who was in a lot of things, but it's unfortunate that she didn't have the breakout star roles as Frank and Jim got.
Vibe. I love the Butterfly Bird Ballerina. The thing I wrote down was it had a big maybe I used too many monkeys energy from the Jonathan Colton song. You like monkeys, you like ponies. Maybe you don't like monsters so much. I love the like. Oh God. Okay, Skull Crusher Mountain. It's about an evil villain, and he's trying to like get this woman to love him, and so he makes a half pony half monkey monster, which is what Gonzo's like, you like all these things, I squish them together and it becomes a big monster. It's a Butterfly Bird Ballerina. And then it took me so long to figure out what was happening, but he leaves his like antenna on, and then they start tuning in to different TV shows, which is
this whole episode
not explained. Like as a kid, how do you understand even the remotest part of what's happening?
I mean, even back then you would have maybe had to know that like antennas you could move and tune to different channels, so it might be more apparent to them at that time, but maybe.
But when clips from Roxanne pop in with no explanation whatsoever, had to be a little. I was confused, and I even go, okay, that's Roxanne, that's like a Cyrano thing, but why is it happening to me now?
I guess is the canon in the show, because there's very inconsistent, like what kind of chairs they're sitting on, like what is that they're all in their imagination.
Laser. If you're looking at the chairs, I have bad news. The geography of this room changes from moment to moment at times. They will run from one closet to another, and it's like, that used to be a window, what's happening here? So they are.
I guess they're all pretty
often
drugged up as part of the experiment.
Of course.
So that does make sense. But I guess I'm thinking like they're telling stories and they have a TV that keeps flipping between channels or something. And like that's just animals like constantly playing with the antenna. And that's why random things get put
but
in
it
there.
also they also have the moment where
no, that's a much that's like a beautiful explanation for what's happening. But really it's just there's a 38-year-old man and woman who are trying to write 18 scripts in like a month, and they're freaking out and running out of ideas. And they had just seen the movie Roxanne, and they thought,
well, that's the thing. Like me, they're just sitting on the couch. They have TV on, and they're like, "Okay, then that's the next line."
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
the real thing that's happening. Yeah, you're right.
like you liked Roxanne, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, what if we put that in Muppet Babies? It's like, how? It's like, does it matter? We got to write another dozen of these tomorrow, so let's just do it.
I am imagining like our coworkers who work so hard to like license different footage for every episode that we make that is clearly fair use and educational, and then these people are just like, I don't know, put half of Star Wars in here. There's a TIE fighter in the opening of Muppet Babies.
I left a voicemail on George's machine. It's probably fine. I'll just assume he's gonna say it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, again, that is one of those things where today would be fine because Disney. Like, Disney would just say, hey, can our one show borrow this thing from our other thing? Yep. Okay.
But even
I don't know.
then,
I mean, Disney's still, like, I feel like the rules, you'd still have to fill out paperwork. You'd probably have to transfer money from one account to another.
I think I've pitched this before, but like they keep doing, for some unknown reason, these not great Simpsons mashup things where like every time a holiday comes out or something happens, they're like the Simpsons in Star Wars, or the Simpsons in Disney characters, or the Simpsons in this. And it's like this, no offense, half-assed mashup where they don't even like animate the Disney characters like Disney characters inside the Simpsons. They're just like, oh, this is just like a Simpsons episode referencing Disney. So why make it like an official big mashup thing? But I think doing this with Muppets could be way more interesting.
Probably easier too. Probably cheaper.
It wouldn't take a year to animate and return. Your references could be topical. But yeah, I think just having some sort of shorts on Disney Plus from time to time, they could be 4 minutes long of just Muppets interacting in some way with the MCU or something like that. But yeah, I think getting into some of the Muppet canon, the weird ass things these babies do. The first episode opening up with Nanny sending Kermit and Fozzie into the basement to get a box for her.
Amazing.
Nanny,
I always do that with toddlers.
Nanny is the worst nanny. We've discussed this many times, but she often leaves the kids alone for hours on end and is surprised to come back and be like, oh, you guys are hungry? Let's have lunch, I guess. Yeah. But to send two children into a, dank basement, that's to retrieve an unknown mystery item.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Nanny?
Well, to be fair, there's a lot of cameras monitoring these kids.
Oh, that's true. They're going to be.
They're
fine.
actually very safe.
This is a test. Yeah.
It's like that show where they let the kids wander off in Japan. I don't remember where it is. Japan.
They get to do their first errand by themselves when they're like
and they like take public transportation and all this stuff. It's like that.
The Community joke where like the whole thing is just all of them in like an institution pretending to play paintball and stuff.
Yeah, which feels true of Muppet Babies very often.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in these episodes that make me think that they're not babies, like that, like them going downstairs and Skeeter saying, I'm just a little kid. And like, there's a few moments in this where it's like, these kids are like, they're not even toddlers. They're like, the writers are seeing them as 4 or 5 or something like that. Like that is the way they're
I didn't know if you're trying to say that they were like 45 secretly.
No. They're little kids, but they're not really babies anymore, I don't think.
I mean, Animal's the only one who's ever really been like a baby.
And Rolf has a diaper, which is for different reasons than that he's a baby.
Yeah, well, Nanny can't let him outside, and dogs poop outside.
And dogs poop outside. Rolf knows about toilets, and he knows how they work, and he knows how to use them. He just won't do it.
He's a conscientious objector. He's got a lot.
Do you think we ever will have a reference on Muppet Babies to them going to the bathroom? Like, will there be a toilet training episode of Miss Piggy or something?
There would be these days.
Yeah, there would be. Like they actually have lessons in them, but I don't know if we'll ever have something like that. There's like I have this hope every time we get to a new season that like they're gonna turn the page and be like, you know what, we should probably use these powers responsibly. But so far, it's just all about imagination, which is obviously important, but nothing else is crammed in there.
At least they don't talk about going in their diapers, like the Rugrats did or something. Like they don't.
Hey, nanny, I
openly
did another
say-
dookie.
Yeah.
And this is why I never watched the Rugrats, and I still find it quite crass. So, yeah.
I mean, did they ever talk about going in their diapers?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
brother, let me tell you what. They were always talking about pooping and peeing.
It's a big
I mean,
part
it
of the
is.
show.
It's got to be a rough time when Tommy's the only one still in a diaper. Like everyone else is clearly potty trained.
Phil and Lily. Phil and Lily aren't potty trained.
I guess maybe he's the only one not wearing pants then. Fozzie and Kermit find the old shoebox with something in it, and they say it looks like an old spoon, but not exactly. And then maybe it's a pencil or a big silver crayon. What did you guys think they were finding? Like throughout this episode, did you have something in your head that you were like, I bet it's this?
I had a mix of two things. One was absolute fury that I didn't know what it was and I couldn't picture it. And second was I think I watched this episode before. And so when they revealed it was a tea strainer, I was like, oh yeah, it is a tea strainer. So those were the two things in my head.
My fury was after they revealed it and I was like, damn it, that does make sense. I thought the clues were just random, like didn't line up.
Yeah.
Like everyone's ideas were so wacky and different that I was like, there's no way this thing looks anything like what they're all describing. And then I saw it and I was like, yeah, damn it, you're right.
The one outlier is Rolf thinking it's a banjo, which is pretty stupid.
I think if you had turned it, like if you took a picture of it at a certain angle, I could see it being a banjo. But, Ralph is also, he's got a lot going on, clearly.
He knows all the instruments, though. Speaking of, Kermit also knows how to play violin, apparently, in this episode.
Which I loved because that was like they're in this imagination time. They're trying to think of the item and they get distracted by playing a song.
Yeah.
A classic, perfectly
Piggy's
acceptable
like, what the fuck are you
Muppet Baby
doing?
song. Yes. This felt very much like dudes in their 30s jamming in the garage going, hey, should we actually make a band? Maybe we're good at this. And then one of their wives coming in being like, hey, did you pick up the kids from daycare? She's like, shit, sorry. And I think it's just, I actually liked the songs in this batch, which again is sort of rare, but I also love that this whole plot point of this episode is people just getting a little distracted by their fantasies and being like, what were we doing? Oh, we were supposed to bring this to Nanny. And we just keep forgetting that part of it.
It was a pretty focused episode, all things considered, like especially for Muppet Babies.
That's a good point.
They didn't spiral out of control into a big last 8-minute completely different tangent thing.
No, we'll get to that one though.
As a kid, I'd never seen Star Wars, so I imagine the pictures in my head of Star Wars all came from Muppet Babies because there was so much Star Wars in this.
Yeah.
And it starts to make a lot of sense. Also, so funny, like the actual context in which things are happening are that they take here is like super violent and weird and like really amazing that it's just like a cheeseburger now.
It is baffling to me that this episode is called Muppets Not Included. And that seems to be because they're using video clips from the movie Batteries Not Included.
But just one. Like just
one, and they don't
mention
it or anything like that. Yeah. And they recontextualize it as a Star Wars character and not.
Yes. I was looking up because I have never seen Batteries Not Included, but that clip showed up and I was like, what is this random weird clip of burgers from?
And burger and a robot.
Yeah. It's like, this has to be from something. And it was Batteries Not Included. And I was like, oh, I guess that's why they called it this.
Because that couple had seen that movie and they liked it. So they said,
yeah, they just watched Roxanne and Batteries Not Included as a nice double feature. This was one of Fozzie's best moments, though, with the Muppomatic. His whole commercial imagination of what this thing can do. It slices, dices, sorts your baseball cards, and even polishes your marbles. The relentless imagination where he thinks he's being helpful is, I think, a good way to use Fozzie, and not necessarily a way they've used Fozzie before in Muppet Babies.
I agree.
And I hope they do more of it. What they could skip is him pulling old gum out from under a table and trying to recycle it and get Kermit to chew it again.
Yeah, that was a weird scene too because they made such a point of showing Kermit throwing it into the trash can and then
into
like,
a bucket. They animated the bucket. You could have just thrown it off, but maybe they got like a studio note like you have to put that in trash.
Yes, kids can't just throw gum on the ground and don't eat old gum. Like that's the thing is when we find a lesson in these episodes, more often than not, it feels like a studio note after they've already come up with it. That they're like, hey, we can't show that. And like, what
are
if we
you
put a
guys
bucket?
doing
And they're
over
like,
there?
all right, fine. We've had a few of those moments where we've seen the studio notes creep in. There was one specifically that I referenced a little bit earlier where Kermit just falls out of a crib and he falls right on his head, just straight on his head. But in the final, what we see, there is just a pile of like couch cushions and like pillows there that we've never seen before. It makes no reason for them. There's no reason for them to be there. So I have to imagine they animated Kermit falling on his neck and the studio was like, he would die. Please make it clear that he's not dead. And so they just shoved some pillows in there.
And that's important to remember, by the way, if anybody has kids, just put some pillows on the floor. You don't even really have to lock the crib or anything. Just as long as there's pillows down there. As long as any pillows exist, it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the only baby thing that they do is sleep in cribs. Otherwise, you would never, like, that's the most baby-like aspect of them.
I mean, Animal crawls and wears a diaper, which is pretty baby.
Animal is a baby, and I can agree with that. He is the Muppet. He's the titular Muppet Baby. It's his world when they're all the other ones are just living in it. But yeah, I thought that episode, like what I crave from Muppet Babies is just a storyline. And the first episode had cleared that low bar of having something for them to think about that isn't just a bunch of random. Now let's do this. Now let's do this.
We've talked about that in the past that we like when they do that, where there is a central idea and the babies get to iterate on it. Like each baby gets to have their go at like, oh, well, what I would do in this situation is this or this or this. And I usually like it when they get to have their own turns and it doesn't feel like they're trying to pivot away from it too much, which I feel like the Beauty and the Schnoz is guilty of just being like, but what about this thing now? And you're like, I guess that has nothing to do with the last thing, but you seem to want to talk about it, so let's just go in this direction.
And I think we've blamed Gonzo for that in the past. Like Gonzo is random and will ruin their playtime basically with his own thing.
Right. He'll just like shout out, like butterfly bird ballerina, and they're like, okay, that doesn't really make sense in what we're talking about right now, but you did say it, and so now it's in our imaginations, and so now we have to deal with that.
Yeah, because this episode goes from the Ugly Duckling, which is one of those stories that's interesting in retrospect as well. Like what is the lesson of the Ugly Duckling if you think about it too much? Like as long as you
pray that you become pretty one day.
You might be hot someday, and it doesn't matter otherwise.
That's enough to keep you going. That maybe one day you'll wake up hot.
Beauty and the Beast, Cyrano Bergerac, like it's all in the same.
Yeah, and the way they get there is crazy too, because they start off painting, and then Piggy's like, "These paintings are all ugly," and then Nanny's like, "Oh, sometimes you have to look more closely at something," and then Scooter's like my rock collection, and then he shows his rock collection, and everybody's like, "Shut the fuck up, Scooter!" And then Kermit's like, this book is ugly, but inside there's beautiful stories. And then they start talking about the Ugly Duckling, but then at the same time, Gonzo is like hung up on this butterfly ballerina thing. There's just like so many steps there that could be like 4 different episodes that for some reason they're just like, but the rock collection part is just like the most like read the room, Scooter. Nobody wants you to be talking right now.
Well, it feels like basically it comes from them they're not deciding who's learning the lesson, Gonzo or Piggy, and not deciding and not going like, what is the lesson? Because Gonzo never cares that he's not pretty, like really, and Piggy only likes things that are pretty. But I guess she can be convinced to like Gonzo even though he's not, or something, and then that's.
But you also know she's not going to be convinced to like Gonzo. Like maybe if the storyline of Muppet Babies was Kermit's in love with Piggy and he's trying to get her to be in love with him or something like.
Well,
but
the thing we learn, while the lesson should be what Nanny says of sometimes you have to look closer to find the real beauty in something. At the end, when Piggy says, "Hey, Nanny, you were right about finding something nice, even in the weirdest looking things," what she found was, oh, Gonzo said I'm terrific. I guess he's kind of okay. What she liked about him was that he liked her. And I don't think that's the same lesson as you gotta don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Because this is don't judge a book by its cover because that book might say you're hot.
Yeah, right. And maybe that's what
some
will
books
do it for you.
Call you hot, and any book could potentially call you hot. So don't judge a book by its cover.
Have you guys been tuned into the discourse about rainbow fish? You know the book Rainbow Fish?
I'm aware of the book. I am not aware of the discourse.
No, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because it's like this fish has all these beautiful scales, and then everybody wants one, and so we give it away. And it's I think the point of the book is if you are rich or if you have a lot of things, you should share, and it's better. It's like communism or whatever.
Gotcha.
But what it turns into is, because I think of the word rainbow, is like if you are beautiful and people make fun of you for being different, you should become like everybody else and also serve the world your
give away your rainbow a little bit.
Yeah, give away your rainbow so that everybody has a little bit and everybody's the same. It's like a very interesting like clearly that wasn't the point of it, but it is an interesting. It's like Give a Mouse a Cookie, right? Which just becomes an anti-socialism book about how not to help the unhoused community. Like it's a very strange but I think we all are thinking a little bit too hard, perhaps.
Yeah, that's usually, I think, I mean, hell, that's this podcast. It's thinking too hard about a baby show from 40 years ago. So, you know, I understand
maybe
the
we
instinct.
We need some more media literacy, maybe in our educational system.
Yeah, hard to teach that in Muppet Babies, but maybe it would have been worth it.
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, Muppet Babies does kind of do the opposite of Wishbone, which Wishbone tells you the stories and contextualizes it and stuff, and then this is just like, here's I don't know, a clip, and you're like, who is this man, and why is he wearing a turban, and what's happening? Truly, amazing.
There's the one episode where they're talking about artists, and Kermit is like Toulouse-Lautrec, and it's really fun for us to watch, with the references and being like, oh yeah, this is great, this is a great reference here, but in context they don't teach you a ton about who is Kermit supposed to be, why is he doing that thing, why is there so it's very interesting that the sort of dipping their toe into educational content.
Something that disturbed me in the second episode was that Nanny was voicing a character whose face we could see, which felt so unnatural to see that goose's mouth moving with Nanny's voice coming out of it. And you could see her. And is there something you can extrapolate from how that goose looks onto Nanny?
I mean,
I don't know.
None of the other geese, swans, whatever, looked at all like the characters.
Yeah.
You hear Kermit's voice coming out of a swan, doesn't look like Kermit. So I'm going to assume that Nanny is not a duck woman, but we also don't know for sure.
Not a duck woman, but maybe her eyes look like that, you know? Maybe she's got big ball eyes with heavy purple lids. Maybe that's
Daisy
what we
Duck
can get from this.
Eyelashes going on.
Yeah.
That was very odd as well, because Nanny wasn't playing with the kids at that time. She wasn't imagining with them. Mm-hmm. She wasn't reading the ugly duck to them. So it was very odd for her voice to be a part of the imagination sequence, which is something we've definitely never seen.
Happened before. She's always in the room playing with them if she is being a character in something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in that one, Rolf does a great painting of Gonzo.
Yeah. And Gonzo's drawing of all his friends was really cute. I liked it.
He did leave out Scooter and Rolf. So
yeah.
I do like that Piggy says she's painting Rolf and then just paints a bird because she thinks birds are prettier than dogs.
Yeah, she's being really fucking rude in this whole episode.
She's a huge monster in this episode, and everybody's not. I feel like if people said that kind of stuff to me, I would be mad and very sad and very insecure. And instead, people are like, "Oh, Piggy, you misunderstand the concept of beauty." Not like, "Hey, stop being an absolute bitch to your friend."
That's because she'll karate chop you if you say something like that. She'll beat.
Yeah, she hasn't taken her karate classes yet, though, so she doesn't have that skill.
That's true.
But it is interesting that I don't know, and this is maybe a bad thing for me, that she so often is making fun of Fozzie and Gonzo that making fun of Rolf, I was like, hey, that's not allowed.
Yeah, don't.
Everyone gets to make fun of Fozzie and Gonzo.
Yeah.
They're weirdos and bad at comedy. But Rolf, what's the problem with Rolf? Why are you picking on him?
Rolf's a talented artist.
Bit of a stoner, real sweet guy.
Yeah.
Trouble with the ladies. I love Rolf.
I did write down when Nanny walks back in at the end of the second episode, and she's like, and Piggy's like, Nanny, you were right about finding something nice in the weirdest looking thing, like we had talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. And I wrote down that Nanny was probably like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's not what I said at all.
They had extrapolated it so far that like seeing these there should be like a cut of these episodes where it's just Nanny's perspective of like
Oh my
walking out
god!
and then
I
walking
would
back in
love
and being
a
like,
nanny perspective.
oh, okay, whatever.
And also, it's just a bunch of baby animals like screaming.
Yeah.
You just hear a bear, a pig squeal, like a frog noise.
Yeah.
in the
Ooh,
other
that would
room.
be a
She's like,
fun.
"Ugh."
That'd be a fun video game where you're like trying
Yeah.
to take care of these like freakish babies. I know there are games like
Yeah.
that, but yeah, one where you're just like
Yeah,
wrangling these like 12 babies. Don't eat
Yeah.
that. Don't eat the couch, please. Don't do science experiments.
There is a moment even in the
Absolutely
middle of the
don't go
episode
outside.
where they're talking about one of the stories, and one of the kids says, like, you know, just like Nanny said, don't judge a book by its cover. And I'm like, she didn't say that
She
either.
didn't. She never said that.
Like-
You're misrepresenting Nanny.
Piggy does have a great line, though, in the Beauty and the Beast segment when, you know, Rolf and Scooter are playing her sisters. And the woodsman, played by Kermit, is like, yeah, so I agreed to give the Beast one of you, my most beautiful daughter, actually, to him. And Piggy looks at Rolf and looks at Scooter and then looks at us and says, this doesn't look so good for me, does it?
That was hilarious. Yeah, that was really good.
I don't know. I think Ralph's the most beautiful. I think that's just because she has eyelashes. What's the deal? Come on.
Brother. You wait. We've seen some pictures of Miss Piggy. Let me tell you what. As an adult, but
we've seen some calendars. We've seen some,
yeah,
you know, side boob.
Yeah.
there are people who work in the Muppets company who clearly have some feelings for Miss Piggy and express them in beautiful glamour shots of her in swimsuits.
Yeah.
Well, the song in this one's actually pretty good too. It's the Look a Little Bit Closer, which is like a slow, almost
Yes.
reggae style. It sounds like a
Yeah.
song you would hear on a cruise ship, but it's like a Scooter and Rolf song, which is a good combo that I don't feel like we get very often as a duo.
Yeah, kind of misinterprets Frankenstein a bit because he isn't super nice, really.
Right. It's not just like a look under the surface and you'll find the sweet guy.
Yeah, he's going through some stuff, but he is still like pretty murderous ultimately.
Yeah. But in a nice way, but like with a heart of gold.
Yeah. He just didn't ask to live. That's mostly his thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That little girl was nice to Frankenstein. He threw her in the damn lake. So
No.
come on.
Maybe your parents should have taught her how to swim. Well, yeah, the last episode is the one that I think me and Sam like the best. But Laser, I don't know if you've said which one you've liked the best out of these three.
Piggy would be queen. I mean, that was cute. I think I get annoyed when Ralph is singing a song and people are like, you're so annoying. Because, like, hey, he's doing his job and he's doing a great job.
Sam said it earlier, and I
He was being
could not
annoying in
disagree
this one.
more.
He was being annoying in this one. He was being annoying in that he was
Rolf.
like, he knew what he was doing though. Like he was taking little pot shots and leaning in at he had good comedic timing, but was being annoying on purpose, I think, in this one.
I don't know. I think
He was
as a
annoying
writer of
Piggy.
musicals, I think we should be pro people breaking into song if they want to.
Maybe
And
I'm speaking
annoying
more
Piggy
from
is
the
probably-
perspective. Yeah, right. Annoying Piggy's fine.
Piggy deserves to be annoying.
Yeah,
She's
that's
so
true.
mean to everybody.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked. Wow, which one did I like the best? I don't know. It was a real journey for me because Muppets Not Included was the first episode I've seen in a long time. So just like getting used to how many clips there were and stuff. It was like, God, this is wild. But I love Gonzo. So Beauty and the Schnoz, I think, although you couldn't make it today in this woke culture, I like his little ADHD adventures of like, I don't know, how do I feel about myself? A long exploration of the concept of beauty.
Answering a question no one asked, not even him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also something, though, that they've done better in other episodes at times. Like, I think they play around with the idea of what is a gonzo quite often. And yeah, I do like that he's on this eternal journey to find himself. But I think for me, the Pig Who Would Be Queen, just there's little moments throughout it, and the dialogue in it just tickles me in a way where I was like, this is... There's like a handful of episodes of Muppet Babies that I would recommend to people. And I think this is in that handful.
This is a good one. What I liked about it was it does something that we have liked before, where it sets up, where it like shows the origin of the imagination.
I
version
couldn't
of stuff.
believe they actually paid off some of that stuff. Because at the beginning, I'm like, why is Rolf so secretive about his forest picture? This is weird. And then for it to turn out to be the Whispering Forest, I'm like, okay.
How does Piggy know that that's a lake? Like I don't get that at all. but I just had to have faith in the episode that they were going to lead me to the right
The
place.
talking sword will explain it to you eventually.
Well, now there are some things, and this is one of those where I'm like, maybe another character was supposed to be in charge of some of these things, and they would just cut out some of the foreshadowing, because the sword, the serpent stuff, there's the swamp of silliness seems to be like it's all maybe animals stuff, and we didn't get any teases. Yeah, but we don't get any teases of what they're working on, like any of the other babies, and so there's like clear setup, payoff, and then and now we have to go to this thing, and there was never any mention of that previously. But we get to see Termit turned into a toadstool mushroom.
That was very funny. Very funny. And then Piggy kisses Fozzie, which is wild. I think it's very funny that they have these like, do people have a crush on her, or is she just kind of the girl that's around, which is a lovely, weird duality that I think also children have.
We've seen Gonzo and Kermit both flirt with Piggy. We've never seen anybody else flirt with Piggy. That was an interesting moment, though, where one, Piggy kisses Fozzie, but also when she kisses the toadstool and turns into Kermit, she does not go, "Oh, he's so handsome."
Yeah,
she's like, "I turned him into a frog."
Yeah, this one time she doesn't like frogs, which is very confusing. But yeah, sometimes we'll see Piggy and Kermit acting like they are married, and Kermit's like jealous of Piggy when other people like her, and sometimes he is disgusted like he is as an adult by her. So I mean, it's inconsistent when they're grown-ups too. So I'm sure the writers are also like, well, I don't know how people see Piggy exactly, or like what her thing is supposed to be, because I guess metatextually she was supposed to be like, this pig thinks she's so pretty and sings songs, and that's such a joke. But then everybody in the world was like, she's pretty fucking hot actually, we love Miss Piggy. So then the joke is kind of lost when you accidentally make a character too sexy and fun to look at, and the whole world just decides that they love Miss Piggy.
It gets the same TED Talk topic. Is Miss Piggy too sexy?
Yeah. Too sexy for the joke that she's supposed to be, but not. Could anybody be too sexy? No. And Miss Piggy is in that boat.
I will say, when Piggy has what movie is this? It might just be the new Muppets. When she has the bangs, I'll never stop thinking about it. Like, it's truly.
There's some wild hair choices through the years. There's a time when they make her a brunette for a while. That is, in my opinion, the most regrettable of Piggy's hair choices.
Yeah, she looks bad.
The bob, the like, what's her name from Devil Wears Prada? Like, energy that she has for a minute.
Anne Hathaway?
Like, well, no.
Or the other one.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep?
The other one, Meryl Streep. What's her name?
Yeah.
Or Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci. Who we getting into here?
Adrienne
Grenier.
She's going for the Tucci, yeah.
Yeah.
She got a real Adrienne Grenier energy to her.
Rich Summer, he's in Devil Wears Prada. Yeah.
He is.
I mean, you could line up pictures of Piggy from every decade, and it would be, or even like every 5 years, and you could get a pretty good idea of like, what the most famous, because she has the Rachel for a while. She's got a big perm right now in the 80s where we are.
Yeah, she leans in hard she's I guess recently she's more just sort of generic wavy blonde hair, but in the past she really leaned into the decades.
Well, I mean, generic wavy blonde hair is, these days we find it normal, but it is a very specific look to now.
Fair.
Yeah, that's true.
I enjoy the writing of this, and I know that, I don't know how many more episodes he writes, Hank Soroyan,
a bunch.
but
I looked it up.
He writes almost the entirety of the last couple seasons.
Yeah. Nanny's Day Off was a pretty funny, like a pretty good episode, like constructed well. This one also was. So I was like, this guy better. Because we've had a couple people who wrote a good episode and only wrote one episode.
Yeah.
But this person gets to write a bunch.
Chuck Lorre writes an episode of Muppet Babies, right? Have you already watched that one?
Yeah, Chuck Lorre is, I believe we did watch that one, yeah. It didn't stand out in any real way as like, oh, you can feel that Lorre touch.
The Lorre magic, yeah.
He was like, this isn't going to make me $1 billion. I'm going to go find something that will. But yeah, there's a lot of fun overlap, I feel like, with the, people who have worked in comedy and end up working on some Muppet things.
I feel like the Muppets are like the Muppets, Weird Al, They Might Be Giants. Like, these are the things that like comedy people, or at least, straight white guy comedy people are really like.
Yeah, I was like, yes, these all sound accurate. And I was like, right, that's why.
It's the kind of things when they do an event in LA, the same, like, 200 comedy writers all show up to watch.
Yeah, I feel like the Muppet script reading they just did at Dynasty Typewriter recently was like that, just condensed into it. The people I saw talking about that or being in it, I was like, yes, this all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, that last episode just wraps up with Nanny's lie of this story box being better than the movies. And then she says she made finger sandwiches for lunch, so that sets the kids off on their imaginations once again. But unfortunately, it's the end of the episode, so we don't get to see them imagining the brutal way in which Nanny would prepare finger sandwiches for them.
The real Amelia Bedelia energy that catches up with us at the end of each of these episodes.
I will say, Sam, overall, I've made the mistake in the past of watching a new season, liking an episode, and having really high hopes that we have, we've nailed it. We figured out Muppet Babies. It's going to be good from now on. I think what helped here is it was the third episode that I liked best, not the first one or two. And so I'm like, okay, maybe we haven't quite stuck the landing yet. But
I think I trust this new person who's shepherding the show, though. I think, and the couple, I can't remember anybody's
Sydney
name,
McKay
but the couple
and Larry
who's writing
Swordlove.
episodes, they are doing a serviceable enough job that it is less miserable than some of the worst early season Muppet Babies.
Yeah, I am in the same boat of trusting the new lead writer more than the sort of mixed. It didn't seem like they had a head writer for a while, or at least not someone who was like really steering the ship. But Hank Soroyan seems like he is maybe now fully in charge, and yeah, I like his episodes. I'm looking forward to him writing more. We keep hearing from people that the show gets better, and maybe they're just lying to us to keep us going, but we will see. Well then, you guys, I gotta ask before we get out of here, were there any non-Muppet things you enjoyed this week?
Oh, I've already talked about Reacher, and also Reacher is a great candidate for the Muppet what is it? The Muppet Christmas Carol treatment of replace everybody in the world except for one person with a Muppet. I think that's a good idea for that one.
And he's the person who gets to stay, Reacher?
Yeah.
Is he?
And he's just beating up and killing Muppets, or what?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, I like that. I just saw Mickey 17 last night.
The Robert Pattinson Multiplicity movie.
Yeah, exactly. My dark secret is don't really get why people like Bong Joon-ho so much. I do like Parasite. I don't like any of his other movies. So that's my baseline. And I didn't like this one either. I didn't hate it, but it's just like they're so like on the nose to me and like so cartoony that it just like doesn't work for me. But Robert Pattinson's really good in it. It starts out really like steamy and sexy, which is fun, but then halfway through they're like, the rest of this is going to be about these weird aliens that they're friends with, and it's going to get really silly. And then once it ramps up the silly, then I'm like kind of out. And the Incredible Hulk is in it.
Mark Ruffalo?
Little version, Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo is in it, and he is...
Hold on.
Not.
I need you to explain. Little version, are you saying when he's not the Hulk?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bruce Banner. Banner's in it. Bruce Banner's in it. Yeah. But he is playing like Donald Trump in it, basically. It's just like so... It's just so on the nose. I couldn't with Mickey 17. But maybe your mileage will vary because everybody I saw it with loved it. So I think I'm the odd man out here. But yeah,
I feel
Mickey
like
17.
The public reaction that I have seen is more in line with what you're saying than, infatuation with it. So, well, I'm back on my Formula One shit because Drive to Survive Season 7 just came out. So I am watching that. I'm building some F1 Lego sets. It's the season, baby.
I didn't know this about you. Good for you.
Oh, I've hidden that well then. No, I am a for the past few years devoted F1 fan. I have multiple F1 Lego sets. But yes, no. So the new season of F1 like racing starts next week, and the new season of the reality show, which originally got me into Formula One, Drive to Survive.
Reality show.
Yes. So this is, even for non-Formula One fans, I recommend this because that's how one, it's just a well-made documentary series, but two, it is often what gets people more into Formula One if they have no interest. I had less than zero interest in Formula One before 2022 or whatever, when I first watched the first couple seasons that were out. And now,
now he's waking up at 4:00 in the morning to watch races, and he's a sick man.
Next week I'll have to stay up until 1 a.m. to finish. The race starts at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock or whatever our time. So
wow.
Yep. Thankfully they are weekends, so it's not like a weekday that I have to do that.
That's kind of interesting that the reverse happened to me with a reality show I've been watching, which is Love is Blind, and it's making me less and less interested in heterosexuality as a concept as it goes on. Truly, this show is wild, and we watch it just kind of as like a horror show, like reminder of the terrible things that people do to each other, but really quite an incredible thing to watch.
That show is from hell.
Yeah. They put all the women in one hotel and all the men in the other, and then they have dates over like through a wall, and then they have to get married like 5 weeks later, and all of their family comes, and I guess they get paid more if they make it to the altar, so a lot of them do it.
That is the part, the actual part where they're dating through the wall. That's fine. That is fine. When they have to live together to get married, to getting married, that's the part where it's like, this is evil. Like, why not just do the dating part of the show, then send them on a date or something, and then check back in with them in 6 months to see if they actually like saw each other again? Why do you have to get married? That's not
because it's evil.
Useful.
Because it's television. And it's bad.
It's so evil. It's kind of also
so bad.
Yeah. Of all the Netflix reality shows, that one I dislike the most. I like all the rest of them quite. I love Too Hot to Handle. That's my favorite. But
oh god, yes,
it's so amazing. Funny.
Do you know about The Ultimatum or The Queer Ultimatum?
I keep hearing I need to watch the queer season of The Ultimatum. I do watch The Ultimatum, and that show is also pure fucking evil. But
it's so
I've heard the queer
incredible.
Season's really good.
Yeah. Matt, do you know about the show? Do you know about The Ultimatum?
I am not a reality TV person, so I have not heard of most of these shows.
The Queer Ultimatum is basically a bunch of lesbians, and they bring them all together, and every couple, one of them wants to get married and one of them doesn't. And what they have to do on the show is swap partners and live with another person's girlfriend for a while and then decide whether they want to get married. And it's such an evil thing to do to lesbians because lesbians will fall in love.
Is that the tagline for the show?
Yeah.
An evil thing to do to lesbians?
They'll fall in love immediately, right? So like that's sort of the whole thing. So they'll like find another person, and like these people who have been deeply monogamous and in love, and then they just be like, well, I don't know, actually this girl's actually kind of nice to me. And it's so funny and so sad. It being all lesbians on the queer thing is interesting because it's not like men versus women. It's just a bunch of really emotionally intelligent or pretending to be emotionally intelligent people like judging the heck out of each other, which is so delicious.
The best reality show characters are the ones who pretend to be emotionally intelligent and will
just using therapy speak to hurt each other.
Yes, to do evil things.
Or people who are just like saying like Tumblr quotes from 2012 out loud, and they're like, have you ever thought about this?
Yes. The amount of weaponized therapy speak is chilling in these shows where it's just people have just learned that that's a way that they can justify anything that they want to do. And it's just like,
well,
I hope
you will not hear that in Drive to Survive.
They don't use weaponized therapy speak. That would be pretty funny.
No, they say more things like "suck my balls, mate" to other drivers.
Sure.
So you'll hear the C word a lot on Drive to Survive. You'll hear lots of swearing at each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want very different sort of reality experiences, those are your options.
Do you think Miss Piggy has said my love language is physical touch to Kermit before? Do you think that's
no? I think Kermit has been trying to break up with her and says that to her, and she says, "You want physical touch? Hiya!" The next time we join you here on Commitment, it'll be a very special episode where we'll be celebrating our 4-year anniversary of this podcast by tackling a Muppet Madness bracket. So we will be running through a bracket of 128 Muppets that we have previously. Yes, that is everyone's reaction when I say the number out loud.
I love that podcasts have become a way for people to torture themselves. Like, what a normal thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much exclusively what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so this is 128 Muppets that we've previously discussed in the podcast, and we are going to determine once and for all which one's the best.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, if you want to do your own prediction bracket, you can go to commitment.com to get your bracket and fill it out. And the person whose bracket most closely resembles our final bracket that we do on the podcast will win some commitment merch.
And we got some good guesses so far, some good submissions, some pretty not so good submissions.
Yeah, some
I
people
hope
made
it's
some
one of
wild
the creepy
choices.
babies with the beady eyes. Beady eye babies.
I think
they are on there.
Yeah, they are on there. They did not do well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the same week, actually, as we are releasing that bracket episode, we will also be celebrating our 4th anniversary by taking a trip to Walt Disney World to pay our respects to Muppet Vision 3D. And yes, we will be podcasting and live streaming from Disney World. So look forward to a future Walt Disney World episode. And if you're in our Patreon Discord, prepare for a random ass live stream, probably in the middle of the day from Hollywood Studios.
I'm going to get Matt kicked out of Disney.
Well,
amazing.
I'll just pretend I don't know you. Well, we want to thank you, Laser, for being on the podcast this week. What of your many things that are coming up, or, I guess where can people just find all the different things you're doing?
Yeah, I'm Laser the Boy anywhere on the internet. The big thing I'm working on right now is a comedy and theater festival in Los Angeles and live streamed around the world called The Joy Who Lived, which is trans and gender non-conforming and non-binary focused arts festival, sort of in protest to the Harry Potter play, which is in LA right now and is making me full of rage. So it's a bunch of like all of the greatest and weirdest trans and gender nonconforming art. We have like River Butcher is part of it. Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe. Chaz Bono is going to be part of a Streetcar Named Desire reading. Anyway, this is a festival.
That's the best sentence I've ever heard.
Right? But yeah, my partner and I are producing this festival. So check it out at joywholive.com. Get tickets. Come see us. That's mostly me. I have a bunch of stuff going on, but The Joy Who Lived is the main thing I'm working on right now. So
I am always amazed by what I see you working on, and also very jealous that I don't live in Los Angeles to be able to go watch any of it live, because it all seems very cool.
It's a fun town to live in if you like things.
Wow, put that on the flag.
I don't. So
Los Angeles City flag. Good town to live in if you like things.
Yeah.
Well, we also need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast, and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs, including Muppet Madness brackets and commitment merch that you can wear to Walt Disney World yourself. You might, we have one on there that says, "I bit Rolf's nose and all I got was this restraining order from Disney." I don't know how well that one's going to go over at Disney World, but
I'm taking it. I'm bringing it with me.
While you're listening to this podcast, don't forget to rate and review it on your platform of choice. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at mail@commitment.com or follow us more places on social media at commitmentpod or commitment.com on Blue Sky. You can always follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.